Time, 2006. Location, United States, Haverhill. Haverhill Airport. Shu Hong suddenly appeared in the departure hall of the airport out of thin air. His sudden appearance did not attract the attention of others. Because the airport hall is in chaos at this moment, everyone is busy fleeing for their lives, and no one has noticed that there is an extra person in the airport hall suddenly out of thin air. In the next second, the whole world suddenly stopped, as if the pause button had been pressed. But in fact, it was Shu Hong who started the high-speed movement, Quicksilver's ability, and the whole person seemed to have entered bullet time. The surrounding environment didn't stop, but because Shu Hong's speed was too fast, their speed became extremely slow compared to Shu Hong's, as if time had stopped. After turning on high-speed movement, Shu Hong turned on telepathy. Read the information in the brains of those around you. Afterwards, he knew his situation at the moment, and also understood the background of this world. He is now at Haverhill International Airport. The reason why the airport has become the chaos it is now is because someone dropped a virus weapon in the airport. 7 years ago, after the bear market virus incident occurred. From time to time, there will be outbreaks of biochemical virus terrorist attacks all over the world. I just didn't expect it to be Haverhill's International Airport today. And Shu Hong also knew what kind of world he came to based on this information. Biohazard world. But not the movie version of the Resident Evil universe. Rather, it is closer to the Resident Evil CG movie world of the game Resident Evil. System: buy goods, control magnetism, Magneto version. Purchase goods, control the magnetic force, deduct $60 billion. Compared to Professor X's telepathy, Magneto's control magnetism is more expensive. But this is normal, the performance of Magneto in the movie is not worse than that of Professor X. On the contrary, it should be more exaggerated. And Magneto didn't know at first that his ability was actually controlling magnetism, not metal. In other words, he hasn't developed his ability to the extreme yet. At least in Shu Hong's view, Magneto's ability has a huge upside potential. Whether the ability is strong or not depends on how well the owner of the ability develops it. It can only be said that controlling metal is the best way to control it, so Magneto habitually controls metal and is not further developing his ability. You must know that one of the 4 basic forces of the universe is the electromagnetic force. It can be seen how terrifying the upper limit of Magneto's ability is. The 4 basic forces, if you control one of them casually, Thanos without infinite gems can only be a younger brother in front of you. Let alone $60 billion, adding single digits, $160 billion, Shu Hong feels that it is worth the money. After the product is purchased, the system directly imports the ability into Shu Hong's body. Shu Hong also mastered this ability in an instant. It can be said that Shu Hong instantly surpassed Magneto in controlling the use of magnetism. From time to time, a method of using magnetism will pop up in his brain. This is one of the things Shu Hong likes about the system. After purchasing ability, you can take full control of it directly, and you don't need to spend time getting used to it. After purchasing master magnets, Shu Hong has also withdrawn from the status of the high-speed movement. In the next second, everything around returned to normal. The originally quiet airport was once again filled with various screams, shouts, curses and screams of collapse. Various sounds began to bombard Shu Hong's ears. Afterwards, Shu Hong slightly raised his hand. A huge amounts of magnetic fields centered on him, erupted. In an instant, the entire Haverhill International Airport was wrapped in it. Those zombies mixed in the crowd also flew up one by one. Suspended in the air, no matter how they move, they cannot move half a step in the air. This scene stunned everyone in the airport. In the new world, with the improvement of strength, Shu Hong already has a new way to unfold. This time, his plan is to manifest the Holy Spirit. God, what the hell is going on? Someone looked puzzled. Someone was shocked, perhaps because what happened in front of him was too magical, he thought he was dreaming. He pinched his thigh fiercely. After the pain stimulated his brain, he was willing to believe that the scene in front of him was not a hallucination. What the hell is going on? Someone wondered. A miracle, it's the gods who came, and the gods came to save us. Some people also made excited voices, as if they wanted to worship the true God. Claire stood in the crowd, also staring blankly at this scene. The pretty face was also full of shock. Because of this scene, if you didn't see it with your own eyes, who would think it was real? I don't know, I thought it was a movie, hanging on to Wea. But Claire was sure that she wasn't making any movies right now. As a survivor of the Bear City virus leak, she's no stranger to the monsters those infected turn into. Xu Hong did not directly kill those infected by the virus. Instead, walked towards the very center of the airport hall. Because at this moment the survivors in the airport were stunned by this scene. They all stood there dumbfounded. He was the only one walking around the entire airport hall. So he quickly attracted the attention of those around him. Especially when people found that the zombies in the sky were flying towards Xu Hong's direction. They soon understood that the shocking scene at this moment was created by Xu Hong. In the awe-inspiring eyes of everyone. With a wave of Xu Hong's hand, the group of zombies in the sky slowly fell from the sky. The crowd below took the initiative to retreat. Leave a blank space for the group of zombies. Everyone is curious about what Xu Hong will do next. System, is there anything that can restore these infected people to their original state? Xu Hong started to communicate with the system with his thoughts. Xu Hong's words just fell. The product interface of the system will open. Hundreds of goods appeared in front of Xu Hong. Definitely, only Xu Hong can see the system interface. No one else can see it. Did not look at the highest price above. Xu Hong directly pulled the interface to the lowest price. Gothic Dark Potion price, USD 3.2 million. Product introduction. The Dark Black Magic Potion from the hands of the Dark Emperor Goth, which can remove all negative states on the body. The side effect is that after using it, it will be weak for 3 days. 32 million dollars, not too much. The most important thing is that this potion can be used many times. Xu Hong placed an order directly without any hesitation. A bottle of purple potion appeared out of nowhere in Xu Hong's hand. When Xu Hong opened the bottle, there was no need to pour it. With Xu Hong's thought, the magnetic field controlled the medicine inside to fly out part of it. Under Xu Hong's magnetic field, the medicines that flew out began to vaporize. In a few breaths of time, a large cloud of purple mist appeared in front of Xu Hong. Then Xu Hong waved his hand lightly. The purple mist in front of him seemed to have eyes, drifting towards the infected behind him. Enveloped the infected one by one. A moment later, when the purple mist dissipated, the infected have returned to normal. Even the wounds that were bitten out before have recovered. At this moment, they were standing in place with puzzled faces, and each of them was a little dazed. It took a while before they realized that they had recovered. After that, all of them showed excitement, full of joy for the rest of their life after the catastrophe. Compared to them, the crowd around them was even more excited. Because what happened just now was really shocking. Every year, there are virus terrorist attacks in countries all over the world. Even the United States is no exception. There are more than 30 biochemical virus terrorist attacks in the United States every year. This is still a case of prevention, the outbreak. If there is no prevention, there will be more terrorist biochemical attacks. To this end, the federal government has also set up a special biochemical anti-terrorist force to deal with biochemical terrorist attacks. But judging from the results, the effect is limited and not as big as expected. Ordinary people can be said to be deeply poisoned by terrorist biochemical attacks. Because no one knows whether a biochemical terrorist attack will happen to you one day. Turn you into that horrible monster. But no matter what the situation is, no one has ever recovered after being infected into a monster. Even the virus serum from major pharmaceutical companies can only work a little bit before you are infected with the virus and are not completely diseased. Whether it will become a monster or not is uncertain. Because even the virus serum is not 100% effective. The scene that happened today is definitely a scene that changed the world. If people who have been infected as monsters can recover, what does this mean? It means that from now on, the problem of virus infection will become a thing of the past. Because even if you are infected by a virus and become a monster, you can still recover, so people will no longer be afraid of viruses. Those who like to engage in terrorist biochemical attacks will become meaningless when they release viruses. Regardless of whether the purple mist can be popularized, at least it represents a good start. It also gave people hope. In the crowd, many people are thinking so. Among them, Claire was also included. But Claire hasn't recovered yet. In the next second, she realized that she had been pushed. After standing still, she looked at the person who pushed her, and found that it was a man in a black suit who pushed her. Behind that person, she saw the fat and short familiar figure. Ron Davis MP. Obviously, the person who pushed her was this guy's bodyguard. Claire was a little upset, but she still didn't say anything. Instead, he pulled his friend's niece Chowla to the side. Obviously, she didn't like to stand too close to these annoying guys. Davis didn't care about Claire's displeasure. Because Claire was not the only one pushed away by his bodyguards. Anyone who stood in front of him was pushed away by his bodyguards. Those who were pushed away were naturally upset, but after seeing Davis, they would all choose to calm down. No way, Davis is a member of parliament. This guy is not something ordinary people like them can offend. Soon, Davis was on the fringes of the crowd. It was less than 20 meters away from Xu Hong. His target is Xu Hong. As a politician, he is smarter than ordinary people. Even if it's just a little smart. After seeing Xu Hong's methods, he immediately came up with the idea of contacting Xu Hong, currying favor with Xu Hong, and becoming friends with him. Because he believed that what happened just now was exposed. There will definitely be a lot of people in the world who want to win over Xu Hong. He is the closest now, so naturally he wants to seize this difficult opportunity. As he got closer to Xu Hong, a politician's usual smile appeared on his face. But soon, he couldn't laugh anymore, because he found that he couldn't move. Not only him, but also his bodyguards couldn't move at all. It feels as if there are invisible concrete walls around them, locking them firmly in place, preventing them from moving. And this, of course, was because of Xu Hong. He wasn't in the mood to deal with a small congressman. So Xu Hong directly gave him a gravitational magnetic field. It is very simple for Xu Hong to make them unable to move. Moreover, this incident is not over yet, because he clearly remembered that in the movie, a plane full of zombies crashed into the airport directly. And just now, Xu Hong had sensed the plane with a magnetic field. In half a minute at most, that plane will reach the sky above Haverwell Airport. Then fall. So Xu Hong didn't even bother to pay attention to Davis. He didn't care about the excitement of the people he rescued with the gothic dark potion behind him. Xu Hong walked directly outside the airport. As he steps, Invisible's magnetic field centers on him. Push those who stand in his way out of the way. This push away is very gentle, and often the person who is pushed away has not reacted yet, and the person has already been pushed away. Faced with such a miraculous scene, no one was angry, but more surprised, curious, and in awe. I saw Xu Hong walking towards the outside of the airport. Some of the more courageous ones have already held up their mobile phones, turned on the shooting function and followed. Definitely, there are also smart people who turned on the phone at the beginning, revealing all the previous scenes. In the crowd, the reporter who had interviewed Davis before also took out his mobile phone. As for why you took out your phone, because of the chaos just now, the camera of their TV station was broken. After arriving outside the airport, Xu Hong just stood there without any movement. Just when everyone was wondering why Xu Hong came out. In the sky, suddenly there was the whine of an airplane. The sound was so loud that the entire airport was filled with this sound. Everyone looked up. I saw a passenger plane crashing towards the airport at a very fast speed. Black smoke billowed from the front of the plane. Obviously, this is an out-of-control passenger plane. This scene stunned everyone. Because no one expected that there would be a plane out of control and crashing into the airport. Some even closed their eyes in fear, desperately waiting to die. Definitely, someone also looked in Xu Hong's direction. Think Xu Hong can save them, and their ideas were quickly confirmed. Because of Xu Hong, he made a move. I saw Xu Hong raised his right hand slightly. Invisible's magnetic field immediately began to spread around him. A pair of invisible big hands gently held the oncoming out-of-control airliner. Before the passenger plane was about to hit the airport hall, stopped the whole airliner. Everyone watched this scene like a miracle. Those who are superstitious have already returned in the direction of Xu Hong. And Xu Hong, controlling the out-of-control passenger plane, landed slowly. Then, he controlled the opening of the passenger plane door. Release all the infected people inside. Then it was the same routine again, using the gothic dark potion, to directly rescue this group of people. When Xu Hong finished all this, the airport was immediately filled with cheers. Everyone looked at Xu Hong madly. I don't know, I thought it was some Uranus superstar holding a concert at the airport. Definitely, they just looked at Xu Hong frantically, not daring to make any rude moves. As for being closer to Xu Hong, many of them used actual actions, but once they acted on this idea, they would be surprised to find that they couldn't move. This shows that the gods don't want them to get too close. Naturally, he gave up. Definitely, the awe of Xu Hong in his heart is even stronger. Because they found that Xu Hong seemed to know what they were thinking. In his heart, he was even more sure of Xu Hong's identity. Xu Hong must be a god. The situation at the airport quickly spread to the outside world. It caused a great sensation for a while. The major TV stations are the first to take pictures of going to Haverwell International Airport. Some big TV stations that are far away even rented helicopters directly to send their own TV station reporters over. As soon as they arrived at the airport, they saw a shocking scene. Under everyone's gaze, Shu Hong slowly lifted into the air. Quicksand is flying under your feet. Under the action of the magnetic field, these quicksands slowly turned into silver metal, and then turned into a throne with huge amounts of it in the air. Under everyone's gaze, Shu Hong slowly sat on the throne. This miraculous scene stunned everyone. Some journalists even forgot their jobs. I am a god from another world. You can call me Haotian God. Shu Hong didn't speak, but everyone could clearly hear Shu Hong's voice. It felt as if Shu Hong was speaking inside their heads. At the same time, Shu Hong's words also exposed a lot of information. Let the bigwigs who pay attention to this matter have a preliminary judgment on Shu Hong's identity. First, Shu Hong exposed two things. 1. He is not of this world. This is actually no secret. After all, there are cameras in the waiting hall of Haverwell International Airport. The surveillance at the airport has already been transferred away by someone with a heart. The picture of Shu Hong appearing out of thin air has been leaked. So it's no secret that Shu Hong is not from this world. Second, Shu Hong made people call him Haotian God. Westerners don't understand much, but Easterners who pay attention to this matter can understand Shu Hong's identity immediately. After all, Haotian God, also known as the Jade Emperor in Daxia, is regarded by the people as the Emperor in the sky and the supreme ruler of the world of gods. Simply put, he is the king of gods. If Shu Hong didn't talk nonsense, then his identity is a bit exaggerated. As for Shu Hong being so young, isn't it normal for gods to live forever? Image or something doesn't matter at all. For the gods, youth, old age, youth, or children are not important. Because the image can be changed at any time for them. Just like God can be an old man or a young man. Never mind the speculations of the major forces about Shu Hong. Shu Hong's words, anyway, did not stop. I came to your world, not to save you, God. I have no obligation to save the world. But I can help you. But help is also not obligatory. You need to give me something of value. And in my hands, as long as there are things you can imagine, I have them. The magical medicine that makes people immortal, the power that makes people strong, the gods that can resurrect people, and the technology of high-level civilization, I have it all here. Shu Hong's words shocked everyone who paid attention to this matter. They doubted whether Shu Hong's words were true or false. What if Shu Hong is a liar god? But what if what Shu Hong said is true? Ordinary people are already tired, but there is no shortage of rich people in this world. For them, living is just the basic, a better life and a longer life are their pursuit. Otherwise, why did the emperors in ancient times pursue longevity when they were old? The emperor who controls a country can't resist the temptation of longevity. Those who are rich are naturally no exception. The T-virus of the Resident Evil world. The purpose of research from the beginning is also to cure human diseases and make people live longer. Then came the study of the T-virus, trying to find a way to make people live longer. The ultimate goal of those who studied GT-virus is to live longer, even immortality. Longevity can be said to be the ultimate pursuit of most people. For this reason, even if those rich people know the danger of the virus, they still spare no effort to invest their own money in it. What is the purpose? The purpose is not to live forever. You can say that they are crazy, but it is undeniable that this is a biological instinct. In the sky, Shu Hong didn't continue talking nonsense. Instead, stand up from your throne. Then it landed slowly. Soon, he came to Claire in the crowd. One of the heroines of the Resident Evil series, Shu Hong is no stranger to this one. A woman with good looks and ability, although Shu Hong said so much just now. But in this world, he also needs a spokesperson. And the candidate for this spokesperson, Shu Hong chose Claire. Not just because she has that ability, also because of her heroine status. Her status as the heroine of the Resident Evil series gave her a lot of points for Shu Hong. Because Shu Hong is familiar with the plot and what kind of person she is. How about character? The two were like friends who had never met before. Definitely, Claire doesn't know Shu Hong at all. But Shu Hong knew Claire well, and Claire is a beautiful woman. Talking about gods is just Shu Hong boasting, he knows his own bottom line. As a normal man. Not to mention meeting one and loving one. But when you see a beautiful woman, if you don't have any thoughts at all, that's abnormal. Your name is Claire, right? Although she was asking, her tone was almost certain. Yes. Yes. Claire was a little nervous, although she has experienced many big scenes. But how can those big scenes compare with the current scene? I want to know. Shu Hong never took the initiative to talk to anyone from the beginning to the end. And she was the first person to be approached by Shu Hong. Especially Shu Hong in front of him is likely to be a powerful god. How can she not be nervous? Don't be nervous, I just want to ask you if you would like to be my envoy in this world. As soon as Shu Hong said this, everyone looked at Claire with envy. As for jealousy, the gods are right in front of your eyes. Even if it is jealousy, at most it is jealousy in your heart. How dare you show it on your face? Claire was stunned. As an envoy, Shu Hong actually asked her to be his envoy. It doesn't take much to know that this position will definitely allow him to get in touch with Shu Hong often, and even become Shu Hong's spokesperson. She never thought that such a good thing would just happen to her. Is it really possible? But as long as you are willing. Shu Hong interrupted Claire's words and said directly. Clairton was a little nervous and a little excited at the same time. People around are even more envious. Why are they standing in front of Shu Hong at this moment? The people chosen by him are not them. Become my envoy, and you will gain the power I bestow on you. System. Purchase goods, the power of the 12 spells of the Demon Lord. Commodity. The power of the 12 spells of the Demon Lord. Successful purchase. Deduction amount $180 billion. In an instant, the power of the Holy Master's powerful 12 spells directly blessed Shu Hong's body. Holy Lord, from the world of Jackie Chan's adventures, is a powerful demon lord who once ruled the entire world with great power. And the strongest thing in him is the very comprehensive power of 12 spells. After adding the power of the 12 talismans, Shu Hong's strength can be said to have increased by at least 2 levels. Yes, it is indeed a bit expensive, but compared to its price, it is definitely worth the money. Phil money will strengthen the system host, Shu Hong. Age. 22. Race. Human race. Shou Yuan. Immortality. Money. $35 billion. P.S. This book sets an ounce of gold at $1,820, and the amount after 100 million will not be recorded. Item. None. Ability. Plain teleportation. Cooling time 3 days. Usable money upgrade. Cooling time reduction. Super self-healing regeneration. Cold weapon proficiency. Hot weapon proficiency. High-speed movement. X-Men Quicksilver version. Green titanization. Perfect version. Telepathy. Control of magnetism. Power of 12 spells and demons. Unknowingly, Shu Hong found that his ability was a little too much. With his current strength, as long as Thanos doesn't collect 6 infinite gems at the same time, even if he has 5 infinite gems in his hand, he already has the strength to defeat him. After all, none of his abilities are simple. These abilities are concentrated on him alone, which is not as simple as 1 + 1 + 1. Not to mention defeating Thanos, Shu Hong is confident even in killing Thanos. But I dare not say that it can kill Thanos 100%. But his strength will only become stronger with time. And with him here, let alone 6 infinite gems for Thanos, if he can get more than 3, it is Shu Hong who gave him face. For Shu Hong now, Thanos is no longer a concern. What he really needs to care about are those multi-universe powerhouses. After opening the long-distance channel at the back of the movie universe, he may face those strong men in the comics. In terms of his current strength, he is not weak, but he is definitely not invincible. Therefore, he still needs to make himself stronger. From the purchase of the power of the spell to the present, in fact, the past time is not long. It only takes 2 or 3 seconds. Shu Hong put his hand on Claire's head. The latter's body suddenly became very stiff, and he didn't dare to move at all. Definitely, she was more excited and curious. Excitement is that Shu Hong wants to give her strength, curiosity, what kind of power Shu Hong will bestow on her. I give you the power to control flames, I give you an immortal body, I give you a youthful face, I give you the flight to soar into the sky, and I give you the power to heal others. 5 gifts represent 5 abilities. The fire of the dragon, the immortality and eternal youth of the dog, the flight of the chicken and the rabbit, the healing of the horse. Shu Hong, who has full control over the power of the spell, can lend the power to others. As Shu Hong's words fell, the power of the spell on his body entered Claire's body through his hands. Claire was instantly enveloped by a burst of white light. The whole person looks very holy. After a while, the white light dissipated. Claire was once again exposed to the crowd. But people around can clearly see that Claire is not the same as before. Demeanor, more confident. Externally, she is more beautiful than before, and her skin is more delicate. European and American white women basically have a common problem, that is, they mature quickly and age quickly. The peak of white women's appearance is when they are 15 or 16 years old. Some women look like they are in their 30s when they are in their 20s. Claire didn't age prematurely though, but at this moment, she looks obviously younger than before. It felt like I was 10 years younger all of a sudden. Turned into a 16 or 17-year-old girl. Young and beautiful. Under the envious eyes of everyone, Claire subconsciously raised her right hand. As her palm spread, a ball of flame appeared out of nowhere in her palm, and then turned into a ball of fire, enveloping her entire right hand. She could feel the blazing heat of the flames, but the flames couldn't reach her. But those who were close to him subconsciously backed away. Because they can clearly feel the temperature of the flame, even though there are not many flames, but its temperature is very high, it is too close, and they are a little uncomfortable. Otherwise it is easy to cause burns. It's amazing. Even though she had fully controlled the power of the spell that Shu Hong lent her, it was the first time for Claire to experience such a magical power. Obviously the flame was burning on the palm, but it couldn't hurt her at all. Can you try its power? Shu Hong's voice sounded. Ah, this. Claire was a little surprised. See that plane over there? Now, give it a shot. I think the people at the airport won't mind. Shu Hong pointed to the passenger plane that was full of infected people just now and almost crashed into the airport. Claire hesitated a bit. The flame in his hand was thrown towards the passenger plane in the distance. She is not stupid. Shu Hong asked her to do this, obviously to let others know how powerful the power he bestowed on her was. Now as Shu Hong's envoy, she felt that she still had to listen to Shu Hong's words. Moreover, there was no one on that passenger plane, so it would be good for her to use that passenger plane to test the power of the flames. She herself is quite curious about how powerful she is now. As for compensation for the airliner, who would dare to ask Shu Hong to compensate for the airliner? If it weren't for Shu Hong, the airliner would have crashed as well. The airport will suffer even worse losses. In this way, the airport has to thank Shu Hong. The flame in his hand flung out, up against the wind. The fireball, which was originally just a ball file size, soon grew like a hula hoop file size. Boom. With a loud bang, the fireball hit the passenger plane. Flames quickly engulfed the entire airliner. The intense heat of the flames began to melt the entire passenger plane. Less than half a minute. The entire passenger plane has been turned into molten iron. Everyone is far away from the passenger plane. Because the temperature of the flame is too high, if it is too close, the person who will burn will feel uncomfortable. It was originally thought that after the flames melted the airliner, they would go out. But after the flames burned the passenger plane, they began to burn the ground below the passenger plane. The dragon's flame is a magical flame, not an ordinary flame. It not only has the property of explosion, blasting, but also has the property of indestructibility. Ordinary conventional means cannot extinguish it. Everyone who watched this scene was dumbfounded. Even Claire herself was shocked. Apparently, she didn't expect that she threw a file-sized fireball with such terrifying power. Yes, such flames can already be called terrifying. You know, that is a passenger plane more than 50 meters long. As a result, within half a minute, it was burned into a puddle of molten iron. It was originally thought that the flames of the passenger plane would go out after burning. Unexpectedly, the burning of the passenger plane was not over, and the ground was also burned. Although I couldn't see the situation on the ground clearly, I didn't need to think about it. The ground of the airport must have been burnt out of potholes. Definitely, this scene was also broadcast on TV stations across the Federation through the reporters on the scene. At this moment, if the TV is turned on, you can see this scene. And the audience in front of the TV who had watched the entire scene was as shocked and unbelievable as the audience at the scene. Federal White House. The Office of the President. The President, the Vice President, the Secretary of Defense, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the four most powerful people in the federal state are gathering together at this moment. But at this moment, their eyes are all on the TV in front of them without exception. When Claire threw a ball like fireball, it burned a passenger plane more than 50 meters long into a puddle of molten iron in less than half a minute. After the flames melted the passenger plane, they did not disappear, but continued to burn the ground. Even their city government couldn't hide the shock in their eyes. Because the power of the flame is too exaggerated. Boom boom boom. There was a sound of footsteps. 4 men in black suits walked into the office from outside. The 4 were security personnel responsible for the security of President Graham. There were 3 men and 1 woman, and the leader was a big white guy over 1.9 meters tall, Jason. He is the captain of the former U.S. Army Special Forces Mad Dog Squad and has a high tactical quality. The other 2 white men, one named Pat Rick, were newcomers. One was Leon S. Kennedy. That's right, this guy is one of the male protagonists of the Resident Evil series, Leon, also known as Lee Sangwang. Since saving the president's daughter, he has been deeply trusted by the president. From an ordinary little policeman, he was promoted to a federal agent and is now in charge of the president's security. The last woman, named Shen Mei, is a Daxia American, a computer expert, and a high-level technician. Together, the 4 of them formed the Presidential Protection Squad, fully responsible for the life and safety of the president. Mr. President, we have brought the information you requested. In fact, there is a person here who is very familiar with that Miss Claire. Shen Mei handed over a stack of information and said at the same time. After she finished speaking, she took a look at Leon. Noticing Shen Mei's gaze, the president, vice president and others also turned their attention to Leon. Leon saw that everyone was looking at him. Taking a slight step forward, he nodded. Then he said, Mr. President, you should know that I am a survivor of the bear market incident. Before becoming your bodyguard, I served in a biochemical terrorism processing team. Chief Kupro Ham nodded. He knew about Leon's identity. Even though Leon is his daughter's savior, his trust is deep. But before Leon came to him, he had someone investigate Leon's identity. So he knew a lot about Leon's past, and Claire is also a survivor of the bear market incident. Besides, you must be familiar with his big brother. Her big brother is Chris Redfield, who served in the S.T.A.R.S. Alpha Team 2 years ago. A year ago, he joined the BSAA, Biochemical Terrorism Defense and Assessment Alliance organization and is now performing missions in South Africa. So, you know Claire. Secretary of Defense Wilson said. Yes, we are friends, but we haven't seen each other for a long time since we played the bear market incident. Leon nodded. When Wilson heard this, he immediately exchanged glances with President Graham, the Vice President, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The 4 of them were still thinking about who to send to contact Shu Hong or Claire. I didn't expect the best candidate to be sent up so soon. Leon, since you and Miss Claire are friends, we have a task for you to complete. That is to contact your Miss Claire and see if you can invite that god to the White House through him. Leon had been mentally prepared before coming. In fact, they were also watching the live broadcast on the way here. They were all shocked by the power that Claire showed after being empowered by Shu Hong. Leon was also surprised that he would see Claire again in this way. On the way here, he had already expected that the president might send him to see Claire because of his relationship with Claire. He is prepared. So now he is not surprised to hear the president's arrangement. Mr. President, I am willing to do this, but I cannot guarantee success. Leon did not dare to guarantee the completion of the task. But he is willing to go. After all, this is what I eat. Okay. Hearing Leon's promise, a smile appeared on the president's face. The vice president and the minister of defense also showed satisfied expressions on their faces. Shu Hong is now in the federal state. It can be said that they have the best chance to meet Shu Hong first and negotiate a deal with him. But the first problem is that they have to invite Shu Hong over first. You say this task is difficult, it is not difficult. To put it simply, it is difficult to complete. Because they know nothing about Shu Hong. At least in terms of character, they know nothing about Shu Hong. The only thing that is certain is that Shu Hong does not refuse to be in contact with people. What he said before has clearly expressed his meaning. Claire can be said to be his spokesperson and the channel through which they contact him. Shu Hong pushed Claire to the front. It means intending to contact them. Jason, the 3 of you will fly to Haverhill with Leon next. The special plane Wilson has arranged for you. It can take off at any time and arrive at Haverhill as quickly as possible. This time, I will give you my warrant. After arriving in Haverhill, the local police will cooperate with you in all your work. For this mission, everything is led by you, and I will give you the greatest support. Even if we can't invite that god, at least let him give us a chance to meet him. I will. Leon nodded. In the live TV broadcast, Shu Hong's figure had disappeared. After giving Claire the power, Shu Hong disappeared, but Claire remained at Haverhill International Airport. Graham knew very well that there must be many people who had the same thoughts as them at this moment. But he wasn't worried, because Haverhill was the territory of the Federation, and in Daxia's words, it was called getting the moon first. In terms of odds, they are the biggest. Haverhill. In a high-level hotel. Shu Hong was lying on a comfortable big bed, watching the live TV in front of him. Now in the federal state, if you tune into any station, the content that is broadcasting is related to him. His heat is unprecedented. Compared with the Marvel world in the world of Batman: The Dark Knight Rises, his popularity in this world is undoubtedly the most exaggerated. It can be said that within 2 days, people all over the world will know him, and if they don't know him, they will either live in the deep mountains and old forests, isolated from the world. Either civilization is still barbaric. Otherwise, everyone would know about Shu Hong. Because his manifestation represented the arrival of the age of theocracy. In this world, he is the veritable supreme, true God. In the Marvel world, Shu Hong founded the Miracle Medicine Group, which can bring him tens of billions of dollars in revenue at least every month. In the world of The Dark Knight Rises, he founded the Miracle Group again. Because of the increase in products and business, the Miracle Group in the world of The Dark Knight Rises brought him hundreds of billions of dollars in profits every month. But this money is the kind that flows slowly. For anyone else, Shu Hong's 1-month profit is an astronomical figure that they will never earn in their lifetime, an astronomical figure that they can't even imagine. But for Shu Hong, that wasn't much money. And if you want to make quick money, those two worlds do not meet the conditions. Although the world of The Walking Dead meets that condition, it doesn't make much quick money, and the previous Shu Hong didn't have the ability to make quick money in the world of The Walking Dead. Now Shu Hong has it. The Resident Evil universe is a much better world for making quick money than the Walking Dead universe. Because the order of this world has not collapsed and there is a good currency system. This means that as long as Shu Hong has the right means, he can make a lot of money in a short period of time. And what kind of means can make him earn a lot of money in a short period of time? It is natural to do business with the whole world. So how do you get the world to do business with you? Naturally. Let the whole world know your existence and know that you have good things in your hands. Even if you don't go to them, they will take the initiative to come to you and make a deal with you. This is how to make quick money. So when Shu Hong determined that this world is the world of the Resident Evil CG movie, he immediately came up with the idea of appearing holy in front of others. And his goal was perfectly achieved. As soon as the telepathy was turned on, he knew how many people were on their way to Haverhill at the moment. As for directly using telepathy to control others, hand over the money to him. Shu Hong never thought of it that way. 1. As a human being, he has his own code of conduct and his own bottom line. 2. He has not been forced to use this method yet. He might do that when he faced an extremely powerful enemy. But he doesn't need to face an extremely powerful enemy now. And this kind of thing has one thing and two things. Shu Hong didn't want to become that kind of person himself. Call him hypocritical or call him stubborn, but people are complex. The other side. VIP lounge at Haverhill Municipal Airport. Claire has been respectfully invited here by the person in charge of the airport. Shu Hong's sudden departure made Claire very helpless. Because when Shu Hong left, he didn't tell her what he was going to do, and he disappeared directly. She didn't even know how Shu Hong disappeared. But she felt that Shu Hong should have the means to know the situation on her side. Perhaps at a critical moment, Shu Hong will contact her. After Shu Hong left, she was invited to the VIP lounge of the airport by the person in charge of the airport. Now in the room besides her, there is also her friend who came to pick up the plane, and her niece Chowla. It is not fit for them to leave now. Because of her relationship, it would not be good for them to leave now. So Claire kept them. Anyway, there are beds in the VIP room, so you can rest whenever you want. The environment here is very nice. If you want to eat, just tell the people at the airport, and they will deliver the food. As for giving money or something, with her current status as an envoy of God, she doesn't need to spend money to go anywhere. On the contrary, if others give her money, it depends on whether she is willing to take it. Boom. At this moment, the door of the VIP room was knocked and pushed open. A beautiful flight attendant from the airport came in from outside. The woman's name is Emily, and she was the flight attendant in the plane that crashed before. She was already infected and turned into a zombie. It was Shu Hong who brought her back. So now she is a loyal believer of Shu Hong. Even if she can't see Shu Hong, she is willing to do anything for Shu Hong. Even because of the gothic dark potion, her body is still in a weak stage, and her physical strength are only half of what she usually is. But she still insisted on staying. After seeking Claire's consent just now, she is now Claire's temporary secretary. "My lord, Mr. Davis wants to meet you outside. He asked me to bring you a message. If you are willing to meet him, he is willing to pay you $1 million. Emily didn't really want to have a word for Davis. Because that guy is very unpleasant. But that guy is like a fly, if you don't agree to him, he will buzz in your ears endlessly. Emily had no choice but to come in and talk to Claire. Member Davis. Hearing this name, Claire remembered the incident of pushing people at the airport before, and was about to refuse. You can meet him first and see what he plans to say. Shu Hong's voice suddenly sounded in Claire's brain. Claire was startled and was about to say something. Don't be surprised. Don't look for it. I'm not near you. I'm far away from you, but I always pay attention to your situation. You can meet that guy first and see what he wants to do. As for the $1 million, if he is willing to give it, you can accept it, and it will be regarded as my reward for being an envoy of God. Upon hearing this, Claire calmed down her expression a bit, and after calming down a little, she opened her mouth and said, "Then let him in, and I'll talk to him." "Okay." Emily nodded. Then he turned and left the VIP room. Outside, Senator Ron Davis was walking back and forth anxiously. After Shu Hong said that he could trade with him, he already had an idea in his mind. As a member of parliament, he naturally has chaebol who support him. And just now, the people behind him called and asked him to contact Shu Hong to see what price he would have to pay to get what they needed from Shu Hong. As for what they need, it is nothing more than something that prolongs life, and even makes people live forever. Presumably these things are nothing to Shu Hong. And the reason why he was willing to come was because the people behind him said that if he can successfully buy something that makes people live forever from Shu Hong, then the thing will be counted as his share. He naturally had no reason to refuse such a good thing. So even though he knew that he had offended Claire, Claire might not want to see him, but he still came. Da da da. The high heels hit the ground with a crisp sound. Davis stopped immediately when he heard the movement. Seeing Emily returning, he immediately ran up with a sullen face. "Miss Emily, did the envoy agree to see me?" Davis asked with a smile on his face. His identity is a member of parliament, and this identity is put outside, those ordinary people, who will not shrink their necks when they see him. It's just a little stewardess, how could he be so polite to a stewardess in the past? But Emily is different. Now she is Claire's temporary secretary. Even the people at the airport don't dare to order her to do anything now. Instead, please her. Because Claire, the envoy of God, allowed her to be her temporary secretary. Although it is temporary, what if Emily performs well and the temporary becomes fixed? Master God made you go in. Emily heard this, a trace of displeasure flashed across her face, but she still said. She really didn't want to stay with this annoying fat man in front of her. If it wasn't for his identity, he wouldn't even have a chance to bother her, and would have been driven away by her long ago. Although she has now become Claire's temporary secretary, she still has to be a little scruples about her status as a member of Parliament. Davis. Claire could ignore it, but she couldn't. Davis heard the words and didn't care about Emily's attitude. All he knew was that Claire wanted to see him. This brought surprise to his face. "That's great, thank you so much. Then I'll go first. You guys are waiting for me outside." The first two sentences were addressed to Emily, and the latter sentence was addressed to several of his bodyguards. After speaking, he hurried to the VIP room directly. Run to the end of the corridor. He knocked on the door of the VIP room with apprehension. Boom. There was a crisp knock on the door. "Come in." Claire's voice came from the room. Davis carefully opened the door and walked in. There were only 3 people in the room. Claire's friend was playing in the distance with her niece Cora. After he came in, they just took a look and then looked away. Davis just glanced at them, then looked away. Look at Claire, then walked towards Claire. His eyes were a bit complicated. After all, Claire was just an ordinary girl who was pushed away by him before. Unexpectedly, she was lucky enough to be chosen by Shu Hong as his envoy. Leaping beyond 99.9999% of the people on Earth, he became the existence at the top of the pyramids. Even he doesn't dare to offend her easily now. But as politicians, saving face is their basic skill. So the complexity in Davis's eyes only appeared for a second before being hidden by him. "Hi, messenger of God, I am Congressman Davis, what happened before? I don't need to talk about the previous things, just tell me your purpose." Claire didn't intend to talk nonsense with Davis at all. She didn't like this fat congressman. If it wasn't for Shu Hong, she wouldn't have met this guy at all. Davis didn't expect that Claire wouldn't give him the slightest chance to make up for what happened before. He could only smile awkwardly at this. First he took out a check. It was a check for $1 million. It was the gift that he said he would give before, and it could also be regarded as a gift to apologize to Claire. He put the check in front of Claire, seeing that the other party did not refuse. He was overjoyed. Then he said, "My purpose is very simple. I just want to know if there is something in the hands of the true God that can make people live forever. If we want to obtain it, then what price we have to pay." Davis was talking about us, not me. This is where he is smart. Because he knew very well that lying to an omniscient existence like Shang Shu Hong was not a good behavior. Honesty are the most correct way to do it. Davis's words just fell. Shu Hong's voice rang in Claire's mind. "Tell him. I have things in my hands, but they can't pay the price to get them. I know what they want, and I have a magic medicine in my hands that can restore youth and let them live another 100 years. The price they have to pay for a drug like this is to pay me $10 billion, no bargaining." The reason why Shu Hong didn't come forward himself, but let Claire do it for him. It was because he himself did this kind of thing himself, dropped 13 squares, he is now a god. As for why he is a god, why does he want money? Don't guess what God thinks. Whatever God wants, you just give, and God will give you what you want. Don't try to guess the thoughts of the gods, because the consequence of doing so is to offend the gods and suffer divine punishment. Shu Hong believes that those smart people will figure this out and pretend to be confused. My Lord God has what you want, but you can't afford the price. Davis was a little disappointed when he heard this. There are things, but they can't afford the price, which means they don't have anything that Shu Hong can value. No wonder he wasn't disappointed. After all, if things can be obtained, he also has a share. But Lord God also said that in his hand, he still needs the magic medicine that can make people return to youth and live another 100 years. Just when Davis was disappointed, Claire's voice sounded again. It also made Davis, who was a little disappointed, a surprise flash across his face. Returning to youth and living another 100 years, such a thing can indeed be called a magic medicine. After all, that is living another 100 years. Even in today's society, many people count a person's lifespan as 100 years old. But there are a few who can really live to be 100 years old. Most people get sick at the age of 60 or 70 and then die. Even rich people can live a good life if they are well maintained. Khan, who is in his 80s or 90s, is having a hard time. There are not many rich people who can live to be over 100 years old, even in the whole world. The magic medicine to live another 100 years, let alone $10 billion, is for those rich and powerful who can afford it. When it is twice as expensive, they will rush to buy it. And the group of people behind him can definitely afford the money. "I need to discuss with someone," Davis said. "You can do whatever you want." Claire didn't care at all. Whether Davis could afford it or not, she didn't care. She was just following Shu Hong's orders. Davis saw that Claire didn't let him out. He just took out his mobile phone in the VIP room and made a call. "Hey, it's me. There was a mistake in the plan, but there was also a surprise. Here's the thing. Yes, $10 billion apiece, is there any limit? I have to ask about this." After speaking, Davis looked at Claire. Before he could ask a question, Claire said directly, "There is no quantity limit. There is no limit on the number." Davis heard the words and said directly to the other end of the phone, "Okay, then our agreement. Beep beep." Before Davis could speak, the phone had already been hung up from the other end. Davis. Looking at this scene, Claire wanted to laugh, although it was a bit of gloating to do so. But good qualities did not make her laugh in the end. However, she didn't like being in the same room with Davis, so she politely asked Davis to leave the VIP room. No matter how dissatisfied the latter was, he could only leave the VIP room full of anger. Even because of the fear of Shu Hong, even after leaving the VIP room, he still didn't dare to attack. There is a saying, the Joker is everywhere, and right now, he's one of them. While Davis took his bodyguards and left the airport full of anger. The special plane carrying Leon and the others landed on the runway of the airport at the same time. The person in charge of the airport rushed over immediately to greet him. There is no way. Leon and the others who came this time came under the order of the president. They couldn't help being nice, although the Federation is dominated by capital. But capital also needs to bow its head in the face of rights. The door of the plane opened, and the four of them got out of the plane. Leon was at the forefront. Although he was a rookie agent, he had just become President Graham's bodyguard not long ago. But who made him and Claire the Angel be friends? So he became the person in charge and the leader of this mission, and naturally, he also walked in the front. You are Mr. Leon, right? I'm George, the person in charge of the airport. Angel Claire is now in the VIP room at the airport. You take us there directly. Okay. George didn't say much. He has received news that the person sent by the president this time is a friend of Claire. Just take the person there, Claire will meet him. Soon, a group of people came to the corridor outside the VIP room. Here, they are stopped by Emily. Miss Emily, this is Mr. Leon. They came from the White House to see the Angel Claire. This Mr. Leon is friends with the Angel Claire, he said with a smile. Emily was just an ordinary beautiful stewardess before, and it wasn't worth his second glance at all. But now that she hugged Shu Hong's thigh, he didn't dare to be disrespectful. Human nature is like this, my lord's friend? Wait for me to go in and ask. Emily heard this, first glanced at Leon, and then said to several people. After finishing speaking, she turned around and walked towards the VIP room at the end of the corridor. Everyone can only wait. VIP room. Claire was chatting with Shu Hong. The door was knocked twice, and then Emily entered the room. My lord, there is a man named Leon outside who wants to see you. He said he is your friend. Leon. Leon S. Kennedy? Claire had an image of that guy in Leon. Leon works for the government. So after a little thought, I can understand what his purpose of coming here this time is. You let him in. That Mr. Leon didn't come alone, he brought other people with him. Let them in, Claire said. This decision was naturally made by Shu Hong. Shu Hong didn't expect the plot of Infinite Darkness to start so soon. According to the timeline, Leon should not have become the president's bodyguard yet. It should have happened a few years later, but even if the timeline is wrong, it doesn't matter to Shu Hong. There was nothing wrong with meeting Leon. He knew who Leon was replacing. Also know the purpose of the other party. The president is indeed the most powerful in the Commonwealth. But Shu Hong didn't have any idea of selling his face. Because no one can sit in that position all the time. What Shu Hong wants is to make quick money, so he will make a deal with anyone who has money. Regardless of whether the other party is good or bad. He will make the deal first. As for what happens after the transaction, that will be considered later. The intention of the other party was to let Shu Hong deal with them alone, not with other people. How could Shu Hong agree to them? Promise them, how can he make quick money? I really thought they had big faces. Just the kind of medicine that Davis asked for can make people rejuvenate and live another 100 years. Shu Hong sells one for $10 billion, but buying from the system, Shu Hong only needs to spend a little more than $100 million. Even if you are just a second-hand dealer, the profits are exaggerated. What he needs is to trade with more people. How could it be possible to agree to the president of the Federation and only deal with them? But seeing Leon was no problem, because they are also a good trading target. Although the president will take office, he has not yet taken office, and the power still exists. There are many articles that can be done. Moreover, some of those who can become president have no support behind them. Okay, my lord envoy. Emily left. After a while, Leon walked into the VIP room with Jason, Shen Mei and Patrick. Claire, long time no see. No, I should call you an envoy now. Leon greeted Claire first. The two are friends and have a good relationship, although they haven't seen each other for a long time. Yeah, long time no see, just call me Claire. With friends, Claire doesn't want to put on airs as an angel. Please sit down. Claire pointed to the opposite side of herself. Jason and Shen Mei did not speak, nor did they sit down. Just standing quietly behind Leon. But all three of them had the idea that Leon could do it. You know, Claire's current status is not ordinary. He's a big shot now, and it's not just an ordinary big shot. Leon was also polite, and sat directly opposite Claire. Although I'm sorry, I didn't come here this time to catch up with you on purpose. I hope you won't be angry. Claire smiled nonchalantly. Leon, we haven't seen each other for a few years. How did you become like this now? Claire asked with a smile. It also made Leon understand that she didn't care what his reason for coming was. This made Leon breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, then I'll just say it straight. I came here this time because I was actually ordered by Mr. President. He hopes to invite the person behind you to the White House as a guest. Leon stated his purpose directly. But Claire shook her head when she heard this. Leon's face remained unchanged. Master Shenshin said that he knows why you are here, and he also knows what the people behind you think. He's not going to meet them or give them a chance to see him. If it's a deal, you can come and talk to me directly. The four of Leon froze for a moment. Shu Hong was obviously not here, but judging by Claire's appearance, the two of them could obviously communicate. Thinking of Shu Hong's method, this curiosity quickly turned into relief. Since the other party is a god, it is normal to have some magical means to contact him. This is the advantage of Shu Hong's appearance, he doesn't need to explain things by himself, others will make up for him. Okay, I see, I need to talk to Mr. President about this. Okay. Actually, before you came, someone had already come to me and completed a deal with me, Claire said. Although Davis was abandoned, but the people behind him are now on their way. They obviously want the medicine that can rejuvenate people, but it's just such an important thing, they don't trust others, and plan to trade it themselves. So in fact, Claire has already started a transaction. It's just that the deal isn't done yet. Leon and the others were obviously taken aback. And Claire's words continued. That transaction is a magic medicine that can make people rejuvenate and live another 100 years. The price is $10 billion. When hearing this amount, Leon and the others were blinded. Because this number is too huge, even if they work for a lifetime, they will not be able to get it out. As for Shu Hong having such a magical medicine in his hands, they were not surprised, after all Shu Hong was a god. If you have something like this in your hand, isn't that normal operation? But one person is an exception. That was Shen Mei, she came from the Great Sha Demon City. The reason why she came to the Federation was mainly to investigate what happened to her brother back then, and to see if there was any way to save her brother. But so far, she has not found a way to save her brother. Her family, the Shen family, is powerful in Shanghai, with tens of billions of dollars. If they squeeze it all out, they can still get it out. But what Claire said obviously couldn't save her brother. What she wanted was something that could save her brother. She also watched the live broadcast before, but Shu Hong rescued all the infected people who had become diseased. If such means can't solve her brother's problem, she doesn't believe it. I'll go outside and make a call, Leon said directly because of his relationship with Claire. Claire nodded. Signal him casually. Leon walked directly outside. Jason and Patrick followed immediately, but Shen Mei stood there without moving. Shen Mei? Seeing that Shen Mei didn't move, Patrick called her. You go first, I have other things. Patrick was about to speak up. Jason next to him pulled him to stop talking. Leon also glanced at Shen Mei unexpectedly. He didn't know much about this colleague. Because he has not been in this team for a long time. There is only one person who knows about Shen Mei, and that is a computer expert. To say that the person here who knows Shen Mei best is Jason. Because the two have been teammates for a long time. And Jason had met Shen Mei's younger brother. Leon also took a meaningful look at Shen Mei. Then he opened the door of the VIP room and walked out. What Claire meant just now is very clear. Shu Hong will make a deal with anyone, as long as you can pay the equivalent price, then you can get what you want from him. Wait until Leon and they leave. Shen Mei was about to speak. Claire said earlier than her. Master God knows your purpose. You want to save your brother who is infected by the virus. This is very simple for him. He has things, but the price is not low. Upon hearing this, Shen Mei was overjoyed. Don't be afraid of high value, but be afraid of no hope. In order for her younger brother to recover, she did not know how much information she had investigated, and she even did not hesitate to become a federal citizen and became a federal agent by some means. Because the federal agent has greater rights, she can rely on her own technology to obtain more data. See if you can find out the truth of what happened back then, so as to find a way to save her brother. But over the years, as she understood what happened back then, she became more and more desperate. There was absolutely no hope of saving her brother. Unexpectedly, the last hope turned out to be Shu Hong. How much does it cost? Claire's words just now made her understand that the so-called price of Shu Hong is money. So she asked directly how much it was. The Shen family is rich. After all, not everyone can squeeze out $10 billion. But she didn't say that it doesn't matter how much money they have. Because no matter how much her grandfather loves her brother, it is also impossible to use all the wealth of the entire family to save her brother. Don't worry, it's not expensive, $1 billion. When hearing this number, Shen Mei breathed a sigh of relief. $1 billion is quite a lot, which is also a huge amount. But for the Shen family, it was not difficult to take out the money. And it won't hurt your muscles. It's totally acceptable. How should we trade? I'll give you a bank account, and you can get people to earn money into that account directly, and you can get the things right away. Okay. Shen Mei nodded. Then he took out his cell phone to make a call. As for saying that after she gave the money, Claire couldn't get what she wanted, she didn't think about it at all. Just like what Xu Hong showed on live TV before. This kind of thing can't happen. Shen Mei quickly made a call at her home in Daxia Demon City. It was her father who answered the phone. Then, she told him about the situation here. Although what happened to Xu Hong happened in the federal state. But with the passage of time, this matter has become more or less fermented, and now the whole world knows the existence of Xu Hong, the true god. Even on Daxia's side, this matter is almost fermented. That is because it has not yet reached the era of self-media, and people in the whole country will not know about it. But basically you know what you should know. The official side of Daxia, also because of this incident, has convened people immediately and started a meeting. Not long after, Shen Mei finished calling. Because it only cost $1 billion, her grandfather readily agreed to the deal. After all, it was for his own grandson. As for my grandson, if I can save him, I must save him. Even because of this incident, he was often angry and scolded them. But when things come to an end, as an elder, he will still think about his children and grandchildren. At most, after that bastard is ready, give him a meal of fried pork with bamboo shoots. Even if he is no longer young, he will beat him up. He didn't tell his family anything, just ran to such a dangerous place, causing the family to be busy because of his affairs. If I don't beat him up, I feel uncomfortable. $1 billion was quickly transferred to the account given by Claire. The account she gave him was naturally given by Xu Hong. The account given by Xu Hong is the exclusive account of the system. When other people send money to this account, it is equivalent to sending money directly to Xu Hong's system, eliminating the need for recycling. $1 billion came in, and Xu Hong's account also had an extra $1 billion. There is no depreciation, which is good news for Xu Hong. So he didn't delay, and directly sent what Shen Mei wanted to Claire. He was actually not far from Claire, it's only a dozen kilometers. Under the double speed of high-speed movement plus rabbit charm. He didn't need a second for a distance of more than 10 kilometers. Claire and the others didn't even react. There was already a small bottle of purple potion on the table. It is the Gothic Dark Potion, it's just a small bottle. The price is cheaper. In the system store, the price is $650,000. Xu Hong sold for $1 billion after changing hands, and his profits can be seen. The capitalists will cry when they see it. Take this thing back and pour it on your brother, and his problems will naturally be solved. Claire handed Shen Mei the small bottle of Gothic Dark Potion. The latter quickly took over. He happily thanked Claire before leaving. After leaving the VIP room, Shen Mei greeted Leon and the others and left directly. Because she doesn't plan to continue working as an agent anymore. After all, she came here to save her brother. Now that her brother can be saved immediately, she naturally doesn't need to continue to be a federal agent. In fact, after entering this industry, it is not that easy to leave. But Shen Mei's status is unusual after all, and her family still has some strength. In the federal state, her grandfather also made many friends. She resigned directly without affecting it. And when Shen Mei traded with Claire, Leon had already finished talking with President Graham. Xu Hong didn't accept their invitation at all, which they didn't expect. But after thinking about it, although they have a high position in the federal state. But Xu Hong is a god, and they are not on the same level. If they don't sell their face, there is no problem at all. It can only be said that their usual thinking has not changed. After all, in the past, they couldn't see anyone they wanted to see. On the contrary, it is not so easy for others to see them. But they quickly corrected their attitude. After all, Xu Hong was different from the people they met before, this one, but a real god. After all, there was no other explanation for the power Xu Hong displayed in his appearance out of thin air other than that the other party was really a god. Afterwards, the four presidents also immediately boarded a special plane to Haverwell. As for why there are four people, because none of them wants to stay in the White House. Don't look at the four of them as if they are a group. But in fact, the four of them belong to the Quartet forces. They cooperate only when confronted with common interests. Without a common interest, they are a single entity. Graham is the president, and the forces behind him are also the most powerful. But the forces behind the other three are not weak either. In the federal state, If you want to sit in a high position, it doesn't matter if you don't have money, it's impossible. Even if you are a Uranus superstar, if you choose a president, it doesn't matter if you don't have connections, only money and popularity. Then you can only go up and be a joker. There is no way that the position of the president will fall on your head. The so-called democracy is only the democracy of the upper class, not the democracy of ordinary people. No matter how many fans you have, it is impossible for you to become the president directly. As for future comedians coming to power as president or something, ordinary people take it for fun, while the upper class take it as a game. The four of them represent their respective interest groups. Graham had gone, and they naturally could not be left behind. Moreover, on the way there, they finally understood one thing. That is a whole new era that is beginning, and this new era came because of Shu Hong. They all need to change for this. The times have proved that the stubborn old-fashioned people who don't know how to change will slowly disappear in time. Will Waits Pharmaceuticals Inc. Frederick Downing was on the phone. What, the plan is cancelled, but we have planned for so long. Alright, I got it. I know what to do, I don't need you to teach me. Damn it, you're going to regret it. Boom. When the phone is hung up from the other end, Frederick threw the phone in his hand angrily. The phone hit the wall and the screen shattered into pieces. Frederick's face was full of anger, and his face was extremely distorted. He is a high-level researcher at Will Wait Pharmaceuticals. He is also one of the shareholders of Will Wait Pharmaceuticals. Although he does not hold many shares in his hands. But if Will's pharmaceutical company can get up, the value of those shares in his hand will definitely not be low. The virus outbreak at Haverhill International Airport, people outside would think it was an accident. Even if they guessed that someone deliberately released the virus, they would not guess that behind this incident, they were actually playing tricks. As for the purpose, it is naturally to sell the virus serum of Will Wait Pharmaceutical Company. Let Will Wait Pharmaceuticals share price go up in the stock market. Let's cut a wave of leaks. It's hard to say that there is no shadow of the Wall Street gang behind this, because they like to use this method very much. This is also a method they are used to, but the plan was forced to end before it even started. Because Shu Hong, the true god, appeared. Their plan had just begun, and it was stillborn. Definitely, even if the plan fails, the loss to Will Wait Company is not too great. But for him, the loss was not ordinary. After all, he was the one who implemented the plan. For this plan, he was busy, and for several months, he set up a trap for his colleague Curtis Miller. And he also deliberately let Curtis Miller take the G virus from the company. Now that the plan is not being implemented, not only will he not get any benefits, but once Curtis Miller makes a big fuss, he will be the one who will be unlucky in the end. Because the people above him have chosen to give up on him. When there were profits to be made before, those guys supported him very much. But now that there is no interest, he immediately became an abandoned child. No wonder he was so angry, but anger can only be impotent rage. Because he has nothing to do with those guys. But he was really unwilling. If the plan is successful, his future will be bright, and he will jump to the top, realize the rise of the class, and live a wealthy and unrestrained life. Fine wine, luxury cars, beauties, villas, and banquets will become his normal routine. But now there is nothing. His future is also dark, nothing can be seen, only an endless abyss, waiting for him to jump. You guys forced me. Since I'm having a hard time, everyone should have a hard time. Frederick looked gloomy. Not far away, a TV is broadcasting a variety show about Shu Hong. Now Shu Hong's popularity is unprecedentedly high, and no Uranus superstar or rising political star can compare with his popularity. As long as it is about him, the viewing volume will not be too low. Various analysis videos about Shu Hong's identity on the internet are extremely popular. However, any video that analyzes Shu Hong's identity has a high number of views. Is it really a god? Looking at the photo of Shu Hong intercepted by the TV show, Frederick showed a sneer. South Africa. Glenn Arias just closed an arms deal. Then he learned about Shu Hong from his subordinates. Because he was in South Africa, he received the news a little late. Is it real? Glenn Arias looked surprised when he saw Shu Hong showing off his might in the video. He didn't expect such existence to exist in the world. When watching the whole video, he frowned slightly. He took out his cell phone and made a call. I'm Arias. For the next business, let Thomas replace me. You will prepare a special plane for me to fly directly to Haverhill immediately. Be quick. After speaking, Arias hung up the phone. He was a successful arms dealer, so his business was very big and he made a lot of money. As a qualified businessman, he is smart and good at timing. Just like at this moment, he has seized a new opportunity. After Shen Mei left, the VIP room where Claire was located soon ushered in a new guest. This time, not 1 or 2 came, but 7 or 8 came directly. The average age is about 70 years old. Claire is no stranger to these people. Claire used to work for a subsidiary organization of the World Health Organization. Her job was to meet those rich people and persuade them to donate. And the funds they donate will be used to build hospitals for those poor or war-torn countries. Because in these countries, because there are not enough hospitals, many people die every year because they get sick and cannot receive treatment. After the World Health Organization learned of this incident, relevant humanitarian assistance was immediately provided. That is to build a hospital for them. But even the World Health Organization doesn't have enough money to build too many hospitals. So people like Claire are needed to persuade those rich people to donate. For this job, Claire still likes it very much. Although she is a little tired, she feels that helping those in need is very meaningful. It is precisely because of this that she is not too unfamiliar with the rich people in the federal state. After all, she has information about them in her hands. I don't know much about them, but at least I can name them, know their assets, and know their personalities in daily life. And the few who came this time were all relatively well-known rich men in the federal state. Among them, some are industrial tycoons and some are Wall Street financial tycoons. Everyone's family background is not simple. At least tens of billions of worth is there. Obviously, these are the people who stood behind Davis before. As for their purpose of coming, naturally, it is a medicine that can make people rejuvenate and live for 100 years. When they came in, they naturally caught the attention of Leon outside. Even if they weren't doing Claire's kind of work. But they are also no strangers to these extremely rich people. After a few minutes, the door of the VIP room was opened. 8 young people who looked to be in their early 20s walked out of it. They all had smiles on their faces, talking and laughing. When they saw Leon and the others, they nodded to them before leaving. Leon, Jess, and Patrick were immediately dumbfounded. Because they can be sure that the 8 people who just left are the 8 rich people who went in before. Because of their current appearance, you can still vaguely see their old appearance before. No need to think about it, they must have completed the deal with Shu Hong. The 3 of them remembered what Claire said before. It is a magic medicine that can make people rejuvenate and live for 100 years. But the selling price of that 10 billion US dollars made them only have to listen to it. I didn't expect that group of guys to be so rich, and they had one of them. From here, they finally understood why the president and the others attached so much importance to Shu Hong. After Shu Hong could not be invited, take the special plane here for the first time. Judging from the situation just now, encountering an existence like Shu Hong is something that cannot be expected, let alone getting in touch. This is a feast that opens a new era. Unfortunately, not many people could attend this banquet. And none of them are qualified to attend this banquet. This made the 3 of them in Leon have complicated emotions, and felt very depressed for a while. After all, everyone has their own troubles. In the past, facing life and death, they did not have any ability to resist. But now the opportunity to resist appeared in front of them. But they don't even have the qualifications to contact them, so they will naturally feel depressed. After those people left, soon there will be another person. This time it was a wealthy local from Hever, Wales. Leon and the others watched them enter with apprehension on their faces, and then came out with smiles on their faces. You don't need to think about it, no matter what mood and purpose they have before they come, you can see from the expression when they come out that their purpose has been achieved. Half an hour later, the special planes of the President, Vice President, Secretary of Defense and the President of the Senate arrived. The 3 went to greet them immediately. Then he led them to Claire's VIP room. Soon, the 4 of them were brought into the VIP room where Claire was. At the same time, the airport was taken over by the military, and Haverhill International Airport was closed to the public. Aircraft stopped flight. Definitely, foreign aircraft still have the option to land at Haverhill International Airport. The 4 of President Graham stayed in Claire's room for nearly 2 hours. When the 4 of them came out, they all had joyful expressions on their faces. No one knew what deal they had reached with Shu Hong. But obviously, the content of the transaction made them very satisfied. Subsequently, the company that owns Haverhill International Airport stated to the public that it had presented the airport to the god Shu Hong. And Haverhill International Airport will not be open to the public from now on. The new airport, they have already started planning, will be built not far from the original airport. In a blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Shu Hong has completed hundreds of transactions. During these 3 days, there were as many as 100 people who came to see Claire and completed the deal with him. There are people from all countries. The content of the transaction also makes a big difference. Some require advanced technology. There are things that are meant to prolong life. There are things that want to resurrect people. Some are powerful. No matter what the other party asks, as long as they can come up with enough money, Shu Hong can provide them with what they need. For Shu Hong, the minimum requirement for a single business also requires hundreds of millions of funds. Without more than 100 million yuan in funds, coming to Shu Hong's place is just a waste of time. This also allowed Shu Hong to make $12 trillion in just 3 days. The numbers are exaggerated, but the $12 trillion is not all profit. 12 trillion U.S. dollars. Shu Hong's profit is actually only 9 trillion U.S. dollars. The reason there are only 900 million is because many of them bought advanced technology. And that stuff doesn't come cheap. Definitely, Shu Hong is not at a loss. After all, after buying these technologies, he can make a copy first. It's like prostitution for nothing. So if you really want to calculate it, his profit is actually more than 9 trillion U.S. dollars, but more than 11 trillion U.S. dollars. Proper blood earned. In just 3 days, he has earned so much. As time passed, things continued to simmer, and those who bought good things from him spread the word. There will only be more people coming to him. In the future, he will only earn more. It can be said that this plan was very successful and perfect. System. Upgrade skill plane transfer. Upgrade skill plane transmission. Need to deduct $200 billion whether to confirm the upgrade. Confirm upgrade. Now there are more than $10 trillion in his account, and the consumption of $200 billion. Shu Hong no longer cares. Fill money will strengthen the system host. Shu Hong. Age. 22. Race. Human race. Shou Yuan. Immortality. Money. $1,364 billion. P.S. This book sets an ounce of gold at $1,820, and the amount after 100 million will not be recorded. Items. Gothic Dark Potion, Contact Lens. Ability. Plane Teleportation, cooling time is 3 hours, can be upgraded with money, reducing cooling time. Super Self-Healing Regeneration. Cold Weapon Proficiency, Hot Weapon Proficiency, High-Speed Movement, X-Men Quicksilver version. Green Titanization, Perfect version. Telepathy, Control of Magnetism, Power of 12 Spells and Demons. After skill upgrade, the cooldown time changed from 3 days to 3 hours. 3 hours is neither too long nor too short, but Shu Hong does not plan to transfer this skill on the Ascension plane for the time being. The cooling time of 3 hours is enough for him now. The cooling time is shorter, not necessary for now. After all, every time he goes to a world, he has to stay for some time. With 136,400 billion United States dollars left, Shu Hong intends to continue spending. Before there was a system, when he watched DC's Man of Steel, he had fantasized about how great it would be if he could become infinitely stronger after basking in the sun like Superman Clark one day. And now, he can realize this fantasy. Although Clark's performance in Man of Steel was criticized by many people, he said that he was not strong enough and did not conform to the comics. But in Shu Hong's view, Superman in Man of Steel is already very powerful. There may be some pull in the early stage, but in the Justice League, after his resurrection, he was wearing a black battlesuit, which put a lot of pressure on people. In Superman's setting, every time he dies, he will become stronger. And Superman's growth stage is actually very long. This is also the unsatisfactory willingness of Superman in the movie. But if the growth rate of Superman is accelerated, then his strength will make everyone afraid. The great thing about Superman is his various abilities and almost unlimited growth cap. These are his scariest places. So in the system, the price of Superman serum is $3 trillion. This is the movie version. The comic version of the Silver Super Serum sells for as much as $3 trillion. Converted down, it is $30 trillion. Shu Hong didn't even know how many worlds he searched to reach this number. However, with a system, he actually didn't need to buy any Silver Super Serum. Because he can grow into a Silver Super by himself. To become a Silver Superstar, one must enter the sun to absorb the energy of 100,000 years. And Shu Hong has a way of speeding up the process. It doesn't take 100,000 years, maybe a few years, he can grow himself into a Silver Super. But before that, he had to buy himself a Superman serum. System. Buy Superman serum. Purchase goods, Superman serum, deduct $3 trillion. In the next second, Shu Hong found that he already had a blue serum in his hand. Neither injection is required. Shu Hong directly opened the Superman serum and poured it into his mouth. In the next second, Shu Hong felt his blood start to boil. That is to say, he now has the power of the 12 spells. If he didn't have it before, this change is enough for him to drink a pot. Superman serum is more domineering than Green Titan serum. The body modification of Shu Hong is also more perverted. As for so many abilities, concentrated in his body alone, will his body collapse directly? This is absolutely nothing to worry about. Because the system is produced, it must be a high-quality product, so there is no need to worry about any problems. The transformation of Superman serum lasted for more than half an hour. Wait until the remodel is complete. Shu Hong stood up and found that his height had exceeded 2 meters. Already called a Titan. However, as the power of the monkey charm was activated, he immediately regained his previous height. But the whole person seems to be a circle bigger than before. The whole person looks stronger. If he took off his clothes, his back would be a ghostly back. At the same time, Shu Hong found that he could feel the existence of energy around him, as if the whole world had completely changed in his eyes. That feeling is like opening the eyes of the sky. But he can turn it off and on. Under his gaze, he could see those energies coming towards him and being absorbed by him. Many people think that Superman's setting is to absorb sunlight and become stronger. But in fact, Superman's setting is to absorb any energy to become stronger. Just because absorbing sunlight is the most efficient and fastest, many people subconsciously think that Superman can only absorb sunlight to become stronger. But it is not. Superman can not only absorb sunlight to become stronger, but he can also absorb other energies. This is why in the movie Justice League, Batman and the others can use the energy of the Mother Box to resurrect Superman. In the next second, Shu Hong disappeared into the hotel. Man has appeared above the clouds. Exposure to direct sunlight. The sun is shining on the body. Shu Hong could clearly feel the cheers of his own cells. It's as if his cells have self-awareness and are happy. In fact, this is just Shu Hong's illusion. The reason why he has such an illusion is entirely because the sunlight is being absorbed by the cells in his body, strengthening and transforming his cells. Shu Hong continued to accelerate. Humans soon left the Earth and appeared directly in the vacuum of the universe. With the power of the spell, even if it appeared in the vacuum of the universe without oxygen, it would have no effect on Shu Hong. After coming to the vacuum of the universe, Shu Hong can absorb more solar energy and radiation. The yin-yang balance of the Tiger Talisman allows Shu Hong to clearly feel that he is getting stronger every moment. And this speed is not slow. Just a few minutes later, Shu Hong then awakened several Superman's abilities. Man of Steel, Super Strength, Super Speed, Super Endurance, Super Vision, Super Hearing. And over time, Super Brain, Biomagnetic Field, Heat Ray, Perspective, and Awakening one by one. Just one day's work is less than. Shu Hong has completed the journey that Clark has completed in more than 20 years. And his strength is still rising. Because from now on, his body will absorb the surrounding energy every moment to strengthen himself. His growth rate will far surpass Clark, because there are other powers in his body. Green Titan, Psychic Ability, Mastery of Magnetism, Power of 12 Spells, High-Speed Movement. These abilities, any single one out, are the top abilities. And Shu Hong's strengthening is based on these foundations, and has been strengthened again. Compared to Clark, he will not only grow faster, but also stronger. But this is also the first time Shu Hong has experienced such a powerful feeling. It even made him think that he was already invincible. If he hadn't exchanged for the Superman serum, he still didn't have the confidence to completely crush Thanos with 5 infinite gems. So now he has absolute confidence. Even if Thanos has 5 infinite gems in his hand, he can crush the opponent. Thanos with 5 infinite gems is different from him with 6. With 5 gems, he is at most level single universe, and with 6 infinite gems, he can at least be considered a multi-universe powerhouse. The two are not at the same level at all. The latter is now facing Shu Hong. Who is stronger and who is weaker, it is really hard to say. After all, 6 infinite gems, in the Marvel Universe, are almost equivalent to omnipotent. But if it's the former, Shu Hong has the absolute confidence to crush him. And while crushing, Shu Hong also has the ability to kill him easily. After all, in the movie, if Thor hadn't been crooked, he might have killed Milu with 6 infinite gems. This may be the reason why Thanos underestimated the enemy. But even Thor came close to killing Thanos with 6 infinite gems. Now Shu Hong naturally has the confidence to kill Thanos with 5 infinite gems. With his current strength, even after the death of Odin in the later stage, Thor, who has grown stronger, will only be abused unilaterally against him. Even if Shu Hong wants to kill Thor, he doesn't need to spend much effort. He can do this very easily. Maybe it's never felt like this before. For the first time, Shu Hong discovered that the sun was shining on his body, and he could still be so comfortable. So much so that he was even a little intoxicated by this beauty. This drying is one day. In the 3 days he was away, the earth was in chaos. After all, there are still many people who want to trade with Shu Hong. As a result, no one can be found now. Even Claire couldn't get in touch with Shu Hong. Those who have already traded with Shu Hong, although they still want to trade again, are much calmer than those who have not traded with Shu Hong. Even if Shu Hong disappeared now, at least they explained it. In this regard, they are also very grateful that they moved fast enough. And those who haven't traded with Shu Hong seem a little anxious. It was too late to receive the message. Later, knowing that Shu Hong received money for the transaction, they began to raise money to prevent that there was not enough money for the things to be traded. Turns out the money was ready. Shu Hong disappeared. And Claire has no way to actively contact Shu Hong. Because Shu Hong took the initiative to contact him every time. Maybe integrate the Superman serum. Shu Hong's telepathy after days of sun and heat radiation got strengthening. Even if he doesn't try to sense it deliberately, he can sense people's thoughts weakly. Know what the other person is thinking. If we talk about Shu Hong before, only half of the people on the earth can sense it. So now, as long as the telepathy is turned on, he can sense everyone on the entire earth. With a super brain, he can easily look through everyone's memories and know what they are thinking. It can also destroy their consciousness in an instant and make them brain dead. It is no exaggeration to say that the current Shu Hong has completely surpassed Professor X in telepathy. Even if Professor X has a brainwave enhancement machine, it can't compare with the current Shu Hong. Because compared with Shu Hong, Professor X has no super brain and no spell power. In terms of recovery and mental strength, he is not at the same level as Shu Hong. Has it been 3 days already after feeling the thoughts on Earth? It was only then that Shu Hong discovered that 3 days had passed since he left the Earth and came to the vacuum of space. Because it is in the universe, Shu Hong can't feel the passage of time at all. So I don't know that 3 days have passed. It is really comfortable to bask in the sun. That kind of feeling is like getting a new toy when I was a child, and I don't want to throw it aside for a moment, and I have to play with it for a comfortable feeling. At this moment, Shu Hong felt almost that way. But Shu Hong knew that it was almost time to return to Earth. After all, his business had to go on. It's only $12 trillion. This is nothing to the economic systems of the major countries on the Earth. He wants to earn more X. Through the power of the 12 spells, Shu Hong directly locked Shu Lair. Then flew rapidly in that direction. Still Haverhill International Airport. This place is now Shu Hong's territory, because the transactions of Shu Hong and others were all done here through Claire. Although the airport is no longer open to the public. But there are still people from all over the world gathered here. Very lively. On the periphery of the airport, there are troops and police responsible for maintaining order. Even though Shu Hong wasn't there, the place was still packed with people. Because no one knows when Shu Hong will appear. Those who want to trade with Shu Hong simply live in the airport. Because there are too many people and not enough places. Some people simply brought a quilt and lived directly at the airport, and their daily meals and drinks were specially delivered to them. It feels like the superstar Uranus is about to hold a concert, and fans set up tents overnight to grab tickets. VIP room at the airport. Compared with before, this place has become more luxurious, and a lot of furniture has been filled in the room. Claire lives here now. Her friend and her niece had already been sent away by her. Now she lives alone in the VIP room. Definitely, besides her, there was another man in the room. A 1.9 meter tall, unusually strong man. The man looked about 30 years old. With short hair, he looks very energetic. In terms of appearance, there are 3 points similar to Claire. Because this man is none other than Claire's big brother Chris Redfield. Chris was originally on mission in South Africa. Who knows that the task has not been completed and is still being executed, so his superior will let him go back, so there is no need to continue this task. Chris had no choice but to choose to give up the mission and return. Because he was on a mission, he had no idea what was going on outside. He didn't even know that his own sister had become an envoy of God. After all, we have not yet reached the era of self-media. Online video is not as popular as later generations, and there are not many channels for people to obtain information. And the most played on TV is Shu Hong. There are news programs covering Claire, but not many. In many cases, Claire was just taken for a stroke. So Chris didn't know that his own sister was already an angel. When he returned later, his superior told him about it in person. He watched it several times before he was sure that the lucky one who was chosen by Shu Hong to be the envoy of God was really his own sister, Claire. In a certain sense, his own sister, Claire, has changed from an ordinary person to a god. Even if she is just an envoy, with the power Shu Hong bestowed on her, she can be called a god. It's just that she is weak compared to a god like Shu Hong. Afterwards, even when Shu Hong disappeared, Claire could not be contacted. Then he received a new task. That is to come to Claire and wait for news. Whenever Shu Hong shows up, contact them immediately. This is his task. It's nonsense, but Chris has no right to refuse. After all, he is a soldier, unless he retires now. And he had indeed not seen Claire for almost a year. The relationship between the two brothers and sisters is very good. Every time the mission is over, he will call her to report that he is safe. Even if he didn't call, Claire would call him. But there is a difference between having a phone and having a person around you. The last time the two siblings met was nearly a year ago. After all, their work is all over the world, so it is not so easy to meet together. So for this task, in fact, Chris did not resist. It's nonsense to say that before he was born and died, carrying out those dangerous tasks. I didn't see the flowers on the shoulders mentioned. Just coming to Claire to play now is not only a great achievement, but he has already washed his life before the task begins. Even the subsidy has directly increased by 20 times compared to before. There are also various subsidies, and you can get $1 million if you come. I don't know how it was revealed that he was Claire's big brother. In just an hour, his mobile phone was blown up. The people who called were nothing more than saying when Shu Hong came back. Can inform them. He hasn't done anything yet. People just got on the plane. There are already tens of millions of dollars in the bank card. This is a sum of money that he could not earn as a soldier all his life. It would be a lie to say that he doesn't like money. There are few people in this world who don't like money. After all, if you have money, at least you don't need to worry about material needs. And he is not young anymore, and it is time to find a girlfriend and get married. He hasn't found a girlfriend until now, not because he doesn't want to find one, but because he doesn't have any savings, so he doesn't dare me at all. Chris' parents died early, when he was 20 and his sister Claire was 12. Their parents had a traffic accident. Chris can only shoulder the responsibility and take care of his sister. Claire's college money is all Chris's soldier's stipend. And it wasn't enough, so Chris borrowed a sum of money from the bank to send Claire to school. In the United States, tuition is not cheap to attend a good university. Many families who have no money will choose to take loans for school, so that many college students are already burdened with a lot of debts before they start working. The reason why Chris specialized in base is that although base is more dangerous, it has higher subsidies and wages. The wages for a poster commando to go out on a mission are around $10,000, and tens of thousands if the mission is dangerous. On weekdays, the daily salary is only a few hundred. And in base, he paid a minimum of $30,000 for a mission, because base is performing anti-biochemical virus missions, which are more dangerous than normal missions. Sometimes it will face mutated monsters, which is very dangerous. So the pay is good. At most, tens of millions of dollars or more. Is Chris short of money? Short of money. He is not short of money, and he will not go to base. As for generating electricity for love, don't be kidding, he is not so selfless. He has been with base for almost 2 years. Saved a lot of money. But the nonsense is that the money he saved during his base service is not as good as 1/10 of his bank account when he answered the phone for a few hours and got on the plane. When Chris was on the plane, he was still lamenting how magical the world is. As for the arrival of Big Brother Chris, Claire has long been mentally prepared. After all, her identity is no secret, nor is she an orphan, with no relatives. In this world, the person closest to her is her big brother Chris. The relationship between the two is very good. The reason why Claire will become one of the survivors of the bear market incident. It was because she couldn't get in touch with Chris at the beginning, and when she learned that Chris was going to play the bear market to perform a mission, She was worried about her big brother and asked for a leave of absence from school, so she went to play the bear market. This will become one of the survivors of the bear market incident, and it is also the bear market that she knows Leon. When the two siblings met, they didn't say anything. Just talk about the things that happened on weekdays. Chris didn't ask a single thing about Shu Hong. But Claire knew that Chris came here this time because of Shu Hong. I'm back. For this transaction, I'll come in person. I'll give you a vacation today. You can take your big brother to have a look around the city of Haverhill. At this moment, Shu Hong's voice suddenly sounded in Claire's mind. A look of surprise appeared on Claire's face. And the expression of his younger sister Claire was also noticed by Chris. Is that one back? Chris asked. The one he was talking about was naturally Shu Hong. Yeah. Claire nodded. Chris didn't have much to say either. Start calling directly. After all, this is his mission this time. After all the money was collected, Shu Hong showed up. If he didn't pass on the news immediately, it would be his fault. Outside the airport, Shu Hong made a superhero landing and landed in the middle of the airport runway. Even the runway of the airport is full of people now. God, it's the gods that appear. Is this the Jade Emperor? So handsome, he really is from Daxia, but if it is the Jade Emperor, why does he appear in the federal state instead of Daxia? The person who spoke was obviously from Daxia. Seeing Shu Hong's appearance, the whole airport suddenly boiled up. Most people looked at Shu Hong frantically. Many people even knelt down in Shu Hong's direction in excitement. When Shu Hong just fell, there was an obvious sonic boom. After landing, the ground under his feet was intact. But at the moment he landed, everyone clearly felt the shock of the earth. Shu Hong swept his gaze and brought the crowd into his sight. Whites, blacks, yellows, Arabs, Indians. There are people from all countries. But without exception, these people all looked at him with fiery faces. This transaction will be conducted with you in person, and tell your goals. If you need something, I have it here, and I will report the price and value it needs. Shu Hong's voice was in everyone's ears rings in. Shu Hong couldn't afford this before. But after buying Superman serum and owning a super brain, Shu Hong's brain works better than a computer, and he can process hundreds of millions, or even billions of pieces of information in an instant. How many people are there now? Up to hundreds of thousands. To Shu Hong, this was nothing at all. As for Shu Hong's words, everyone was surprised. Because before, if you want to trade with Shu Hong, the minimum requirement is that you have a capital of $100 million. If it's less than this number, you won't even be able to meet Claire, let alone make a deal. But it was different now. Shu Hong came forward in person, and there were no such demands. People began to come up with their own trading goals. Definitely, they are silently thinking about their trading goals in their hearts. Because this is what Shu Hong requested, he will know what they are thinking. This further confirms the identity of Shu Hong's god, spirit. If it wasn't for the gods, how could he know what they were thinking in their hearts? Almost everyone has identified the identity of Shu Hong as a god. The current transaction has become simpler than before, because Shu Hong no longer needs someone to transfer the money to his account from the system in order for the system to recycle it. Instead, as long as they agree to trade with Shu Hong can directly ask the system to recover the amount in their account. Are their valuables located somewhere? This is the function after system upgrade. In order to upgrade this function of the system, Shu Hong spent a total of $100 billion. But this function is very useful for Shu Hong. It can speed up his transaction efficiency and quantity. It is also more in line with his current identity. The content of ordinary transactions is basically to buy some medicines to treat diseases on the body. Many people came here to try their luck because they could not be cured in the hospital. Most of them are terminally ill. There are also a small number of people who come to buy certain aspects of technology, and these people either represent the government or a representative of a large company. Those who come to buy power are the fewest. However, Shu Hong's super soldier serum still sold a lot. After the deal is done, the person who completed the transaction will be sent away by Shu Hong himself with a magic door, and even the travel expenses to go home will be saved. In this way, those who have not traded with Shu Hong can enter the airport to trade with Shu Hong. As for the method of might and magic, it is naturally the skill that Shu Hong bought from the system. This skill is not expensive, only hundreds of millions of dollars. For Shu Hong now, it is very cheap. Definitely, it's also functional. In this way, a group of people were traded and then sent away, and new people arrived immediately, wanting to trade with Shu Hong. In just one day, Xu Hong's trading volume reached tens of millions. Definitely, this also allowed Xu Hong to earn a larger amount than before. Although this time the transaction order, most of the profits are only tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the victory lies in the quantity. Moreover, there are also many orders at the level of hundreds of billions of dollars. It's all government deals. The tens of billions were brought by some poorer countries. What I bought was also some technology. For them, in order to develop the country and the country wants to be rich, it is necessary to master some high-end technologies. But because the country is poor, there is a lack of professional technical personnel. In terms of technology, they have been lagging behind, and it is almost impossible to catch up. And if you want to buy technology directly from other countries, they don't sell it. No matter how much you pay, no one will sell it. It is to engage in technical blockade for you. It is okay to want something, but technically, there is no way. But here at Xu Hong, there are no such restrictions. Whatever technology you want, Xu Hong can sell it to you. Definitely, the premise is that you can afford that price, otherwise even if you want to buy it, Xu Hong can't help it. He is a businessman, not a philanthropist. For those who have no money and want his help, Xu Hong will also consider it as appropriate. If it is a kind-hearted person, he doesn't mind helping the other party. After all, Xu Hong has the telepathy ability, no one can hide secrets from him. As for selfishness, I still want him to help. Sorry, he's incompetent for 5. After all, he is a businessman, not a philanthropist. But even so, tens of millions of orders were traded in one day. It also allowed Xu Hong to earn more money than in 3 days. The net profit directly reached $25 trillion. While Xu Hong completed a large number of transaction orders. There are also people who started to make trouble in secret. Will Waite's company. Frederick Downing extracted the latest G virus. This is the enhanced version of the G virus that he spent several days working out. The characteristics are higher infectivity and stronger mutation ability. Compared with the general G virus, it is more difficult to kill. The plan was cancelled, though. But those guys are too busy to complete the deal with Xu Hong right now, so they don't have time to pay attention to him at all. I heard that Davis guy was also kicked away by them. He originally wanted to get Davis to go with him to get those guys. But it is a pity that Davis is a person who has no guts, and he dare not cooperate with him at all. That guy Davis is a congressman after all. The power in his hands is actually not small. If he cooperates with him, the success rate of his plan will definitely increase greatly. It's a pity that the Davis guy doesn't cooperate with him. In his words, even if those people kicked him away, make him angry. But for the sake of his status as a member of parliament, even if he was angry, he could not express any dissatisfaction. At least he still has the status of a member of parliament now. Get respect from others wherever you go. Those ordinary people dare not offend him at all. Why did he choose to work with him? But it doesn't matter anymore. He has developed a new type of G virus. Davis is unwilling to cooperate with him, so naturally someone is willing to cooperate with him. Curtis, this is the latest type of G virus. It is more transmissible and has a stronger mutation ability. At the critical moment, inject it. Believe me, you will get the power you dreamed of before. You actually made this thing. Curtis was a little surprised with the latest virus. He is just an ordinary researcher in Will Waite's though. But he is also very clear about how difficult it is to study the G virus. The previous research on the G virus has reached a bottleneck. It is no longer an easy job to improve the various data of the virus. But I didn't expect Frederick Downing to actually do it. How did he know that Frederick had been forced to a dead end long ago? At least in Frederick's view, the plan did not continue to be implemented, and for him, it was a dead end. Because all his good life is gone. Everything I had dreamed of was gone. In this case, he only has one heart left to revenge him. In a desperate situation, his potential was also forced out. That's why we can successfully research a more powerful or terrifying G virus. That's right. Frederick Downing said with a tired face. In order to research a new type of more powerful G virus, he has been working overtime every day these days. If it wasn't for the heart of revenge that stimulated him, he wouldn't be like this at all. Don't forget what I told you before. Your family was lost because of those guys in the company, and those guys did a lot of harm for profit. Isn't it your part? Curtis said. I admit that I joined in this, but you also know that I, like you, are just a researcher, and I have no right to veto their orders. Think about it. Your relatives are gone now, and those guys, not only have regained their youthful appearance because of the god who suddenly appeared, but they can still live for 100 years. Living a good life that you can't even imagine every day, with fine wine in your hand and a beautiful woman in your arms, but you are alone. Don't you want to do something? Curtis knew that Frederick was trying to provoke him on purpose, but what he had to admit was that the other party did persuade him. Those guys caused him to lose his family, so why can he live a good life and live another 100 years? This, very unfair people. This kind of thing, just thinking about it makes people angry and annoying. Seeing the change in Curtis's expression, Frederick showed a satisfied smile on his face. It is a simple means of intensifying conflicts, but it is also very effective. At least his goal was easily achieved. According to our previous plan, you are responsible for finding those guys and releasing the virus. How about you? Me. I definitely have other tasks to complete. Although I did want to cheat you before, but now we have a common enemy. Don't worry. This time, I'm in the same camp as you. Frederick patted Curtis on the shoulder with a smile and said. The latter knew that Frederick must have bad intentions, and this guy might still have other ideas. But it doesn't matter anymore. Having lost his family, he has no idea of continuing to live. Now he only wants to take revenge on the person who caused his current tragedy. For this reason, he doesn't mind being a chess piece for that guy Frederick. With the help of this guy, the success rate is much higher than if he acted alone. And they now have a more powerful G-virus in their hands. Letting this thing out is the real killer. No matter what your purpose is, I don't mind being your pawn this time. Frederick was very satisfied with Curtis's answer. What is needed is this attitude. That's why he was looking for Curtis. Although this guy's ability is average, but his determination is big enough. Faced with those top rich people, ordinary people really dare not engage with them. After all, the success rate is low, and after failure, it is inevitable to be liquidated, and the family members will also be unlucky. But Curtis has no family members, so he doesn't have to worry about being retaliated by those guys after failing. Because of his family, he died a long time ago because of those guys. As for his sister or something, he wasn't too worried. After all, her sister is the captain of the SWAT team. Being able to be in the special police team and still be the captain, it can be seen that her sister is not simple. From Curtis's point of view, his sister Angela Miller was far superior to him. And even before he started to act, he started thinking about what would happen after the failure. Isn't that nonsense? Those who look forward and backward are not suitable for playing. If he and Frederick succeeded, those guys would have no chance of revenge. Very well, then wish us a happy cooperation. You take this satellite phone with you, and I will contact you at any time. Those guys are now in Haverville City. I heard that the god has appeared again. Those guys plan to trade with the god again. I got definite news that this time they plan to obtain extraordinary power from the gods. So our chance is only this one time. Once we miss this chance, we will never have the chance to retaliate against them again. Curtis nodded. Take the satellite phone. Get their location as soon as possible, and then tell me. Curtis left directly after finishing speaking. Definitely, when he left, he was still carrying a white leather suitcase. Inside is the latest G-virus developed by that fellow Frederick. Frederick watched Curtis leave. Wait until Curtis's figure completely disappears. Frederick also left while waits with a laptop. Aren't those guys still thinking of making a deal with Shu Hong? Wait until he gets those guys' money away, and see what they trade with Shu Hong. Few people know that he is actually a computer expert. This time Curtis was in the light and he was in the dark. As long as Curtis manages to unleash the G-virus, create chaos, he can fish in troubled waters and have a chance to get the money of those guys into his own hands. This is his real plan. He's just pretending to be dead. It really made him commit suicide, but he didn't dare to commit suicide. The saying that it is better to die than to live is also suitable for him. Now he is indeed forced to stand on the edge of a cliff. But he didn't have the courage to jump off the cliff. He wanted to struggle. In case of success, the sea will be wide enough to let the birds fly. St. Toby's Street. It is a wealthy area in Haverwell. None of the people who live here are poor. Because the whole place is dominated by villas, without a net worth of tens of millions, there is no right to live here. Moreover, it is only about 10 kilometers away from Haverwell's International Airport. Ever since the god Shu Hong appeared in Haverwell City, prices here have also risen. In just a few days, it rose 2 or 3 times. But even so, it still didn't mean to stop. Because so far, Shu Hong has only appeared in Haverwell City. His envoy, Claire, also lives at the International Airport in Haverville. In the words of some people, living here is closer to the gods. It may not necessarily be able to get the protection of the gods. The worst thing about those rich people is money. Even if some of them have already made a deal with Shu Hong, their wealth should not have shrunk. But buying a villa is nothing to them. Even this villa is worth tens of millions of dollars. Because none of these people are worth less than tens of billions of dollars. Tens of millions, for them, it's just a sprinkle of water. There are many poor people in the world, but there are also many rich people. For some low-key rich people, you don't even know how much money he has. After all, rich things are exposed, and it is easy to be targeted. But now with the appearance of Shu Hong, hiding wealth or something is actually a stupid act. Use wealth to trade with Shu Hong, obtain new black technology, or strengthen yourself, or self-heal yourself. Much more useful than keeping money in your hands. At this time, naturally there is no need to hide it. The easternmost part of the rich area. There is a large villa covering an area of 3,000 square meters. The owner of this villa is John Franks. He is an investment tycoon on Wall Street. He was born in 1922 and is now 84 years old. He has been through many economic crises. The economic crisis is a disaster for most people, but for a financial tycoon like him, it is a difficult opportunity. Relying on repeated financial crises, he has accumulated a huge net worth for himself. People outside speculate that his worth is about $30 billion US. Among financial investment tycoons, his net worth ranks second. But in fact, his worth is as high as more than $80 billion US. It is more than double what outsiders guessed. At this moment, a banquet is being held in his villa. This banquet is to celebrate Shu Hong's return. Because this means they can trade with Shu Hong again. Although they traded with Shu Hong through Claire before. But they just bought medicine from Shu Hong to make them rejuvenate and live for 100 years. One cost them $10 billion. Even in terms of their worth, such a price is considered expensive. But after getting the product and showing its effect, no one felt that the medicine was not worth the price. At first they thought about living longer. Feeling their youthful and energetic bodies again, after holding banquets for several days in a row, they wanted to make a deal with Shu Hong again. But when they were thinking of trading with Shu Hong was gone. Claire's envoy has made many contacts. This once made them feel regretful and annoyed. Why didn't they go to Shu Hong sooner? Fortunately, Shu Hong is back now. They have received news that Shu Hong has returned. And the current deal is done by Shu Hong himself, so there is no need to deal with Claire. The return of Shu Hong is naturally something worth celebrating. So at this moment they gathered together and started the banquet again. Definitely, they came together, and they didn't just gather because they were happy about Shu Hong's return. They gathered together for another purpose, which is to talk about cooperation. They are a group of people who can do anything. Finance, medicine, technology, industry, energy, automobiles, electronics, internet, film and television circles. Anyway, all industries are more or less involved. For them, if everyone cooperates together, they can achieve the goal of win-win cooperation. In fact, before this, they have cooperated several times. It's been a pleasure to cooperate with each other. Buying medicine from Shu Hong together that can prolong life and rejuvenate them also brought their relationship a step further. Mutual trust is also deeper. In the villa, the atmosphere of the banquet was very good. Popular Hollywood actresses and male stars will be the hosts, and top singers will sing in the villa. Top female models can be seen everywhere, with snow white and slender thighs, dazzling the beholders. It's a feast. But no one noticed that an uninvited guest came in a dark corner invisible to everyone at the banquet. Looking at the lively scene of the banquet, I thought of my once happy home. Curtis's eyes became colder and colder. Soon, he noticed his target person. Beside John Franks, stood a young white male in his 20s. The man's name was Glenn Sponto Joe. He is very familiar with this guy. Even if this guy changes from an old man in his 70s to a young man in his 20s. He still recognized him immediately. After all, he couldn't wait to eat that guy's meat. If it wasn't for him, why would his family be ruined and his wife and children gone? Seeing the enemy hugging a beautiful female model, talking and laughing, his face was flushed. Curtis's eyes became colder and colder, but he hasn't been overwhelmed by anger yet. Just then, the satellite phone in his hand vibrated. Curtis picked up the phone. "I'm Curtis. Have you gone in yet?" Frederick's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Come in. The rich area where John Franks lives is not just for anyone to come in. The security measures are adequate. After all, the rich people live here. It is difficult for ordinary people to mix in. Curtis was able to come in because of Frederick's help. Otherwise, he alone might have been discovered before he came outside John Frank's villa. Then start acting according to the plan. Curtis didn't speak, but hung up the phone directly. Frederick on the other end also put down his phone. He took out the computer he had brought and started to operate. In the villa, John, Glenn and others are gathering in a small room. They are discussing where each can work together to win. And what to do with Shu Hong next, are talking. Suddenly, the room went dark. All the lights in the room went out. The sudden change made everyone stunned. What's the matter? Why did the lights suddenly go out? John? It seems that someone wants to make trouble, but after I bought this place, people directly remodeled it. It's very strong here, you don't have to worry about someone breaking in. And our bodyguards are outside, no one can come in and do anything to us. There is a backup generator in the basement and the lights will be back on in no time. Click. Just after John's words fell, the lights in the room returned to normal. When people face the unknown darkness, they will have a little panic. Even if the people here are smart people, it is inevitable that they will be like this. But after the lights were restored, they immediately regained their composure. But everyone did not continue to talk about the topic just now. The lights just went out, which is obviously not normal. Someone took out his mobile phone and started calling the bodyguards about the situation outside. The phone was connected quickly, and the result was that nothing happened. It seems that the switch tripped, so the power went out. This answer seems normal, but none of the people sitting here is worth less than $10 billion. Being able to make so much money proves that everyone here is not a smart person. The extinction of the lights just now is no accident. The calm at this moment is nothing but an illusion. Sure enough, the next second, there was a loud noise outside. It was the sound of explosives exploding. Even though the sound insulation effect of this room is good, everyone can clearly hear the explosion sound from outside. John frowned. Who is so bold? He immediately took out his mobile phone and called his bodyguard. The call was quickly connected. What's the situation outside now? What happened to the explosion just now? This. We don't know what's going on for the time being. Wait. Frank. What's wrong with you? Damn it, it's a biochemical virus attack. Someone dropped a biochemical virus in the villa. Boss. Someone put a virus in the villa, you guys go away. Ah. At the end of the call, there was the scream of John's bodyguard. This made John frown, knowing that the situation outside is not good. He put down his phone and looked at the others in the room. Someone dropped a biochemical virus at the banquet. John's face was very ugly. If you want to say what the most terrifying attack in the world is, then the biochemical terrorist attack is definitely the most well-deserved number one. The destruction and economic losses caused by this thing are even incomparable to Mahai bombs. In the bear market, a city was forced to be wiped off the map because of a T virus. The number of deaths and economic losses are even more exaggerated. Even now, the virus leak incident of playing bear market, every time it is talked about, it makes people turn pale. This is why the federal government wants to form a biochemical response force. The purpose is to deal with virus leaks that may occur in the federal state. It will not let the event of playing the bear market happen again. While John was speaking, he also looked at a young man with blonde hair in the crowd. The man's name is Henry, he is a pharmaceutical tycoon, and he has many companies under his name. Among them, Will-Wait Pharmaceutical Company is the company under his name. Because of the incident of playing in the bear market back then, he established Will-Wait Pharmaceutical Company to produce virus vaccines. The purpose is to have a reliable vaccine to use when there is another virus outbreak. Definitely, it is also possible to make some money appropriately. Before, he and Frederick had made a gambling agreement. If Frederick can make Will-Wait Pharmaceuticals stock more than triple, he allocated 10% of the shares of Will-Wait Company to him. But later, because of the appearance of Shu Hong, Frederick's plan failed, and the bet between him and the opponent was naturally invalidated. Originally, he was going to deal with Frederick, but because of rejuvenation, he was excited for several days, and these days he was experiencing the feeling of being a young man again. There is no time at all, or I am too lazy to deal with Frederick for the time being. After all, in his opinion, Frederick can't afford to turn a storm. But it turns out that Frederick is not as simple as he seems. And this matter, John Franks knows, because if Frederick's plan is successful, the best person to cut the leaks is him. And now that someone is putting a virus in their place, the first thing he thought of was Frederick. Because Will Wait Company is also researching viruses, whether it is T virus or G virus, they are all researching. Even if the federal government explicitly prohibits any institution from researching viruses. But Will Waits is still going its own way. Because in Haverhill, they were covered by someone, and that person was Congressman Davis. Although that guy is just an ordinary member of parliament, but in Haverhill, this guy's power is quite large. On the bright side, he can help Will Wait Company a lot. But after Shu Hong appeared, this guy was kicked away by them. Because that guy stupidly wanted to get a longevity medicine, the medicine that rejuvenates the old and increases the lifespan by 100 years. Are you kidding me? The selling price of elixir is $10 billion. They admitted that the Davis guy did what he was supposed to do. But let them spend $10 billion US dollars to help him buy elixir of longevity. Then is a fool's dream, because Davis doesn't have that value. Maybe they will consider it if they change to a more valuable congressman. But Davis, that guy is the puppet they push up. Ability has a little bit, but not much. That guy isn't worth the $10 billion they're throwing at him. If necessary, they can find someone more valuable than Davis to invest in. And it doesn't cost that much money. As for Davis, in their opinion, that guy is worth at most $100 million. This is mainly because Davis is obedient, otherwise he would not even be worth $100 million. Seeing John cast his gaze over, Henry was well aware of his consciousness. He directly took out his mobile phone and called Frederick. But although the phone got through, no one answered. Henry frowned, and he was basically sure that what happened this time was caused by Frederick. This made his face suddenly become a little ugly. After all, Frederick was his employee. My own boss was betrayed by an employee. It's no wonder he can look good. Notice the change in Henry's expression. The others present immediately understood. This matter may have something to do with Henry. They didn't complain aloud. Because they are all smart people, knowing that it is useless to fight among themselves at this time. The most important thing is how to solve this incident. John bought this villa not long ago. He hasn't had time to remodel the villa yet. So they have no second way out of this room. This is equivalent to saying that they are temporarily trapped in this room. Definitely, when Henry's face was not looking good, someone had already taken out his mobile phone and started contacting rescuers. None of them are simple. Each has its own energy and means. They don't care who Henry has grievances with. What they care about is their own life. So it is very quick to call for support. Outside, the entire banquet has become very chaotic. There were screams and cries for help everywhere. Curtis stood in the distance, watching the tragedy of the banquet, with a satisfied smile on his face. At the same time, there was some shock in his heart. I was shocked that Frederick had studied the G virus so well. At the same time as the bomb exploded just now, he also released the latest G virus from Frederick through the bomb. He was shocked by the mutation speed of the new G virus. From infection to mutation, from beginning to end, it didn't even take 5 seconds. People infected with the G virus directly mutate into monsters. It cannot be said to be a zombie, because a zombie at least has a human appearance. And these things, even the personal appearance is gone. There are all kinds of eyes and tentacles all over the body, as well as red meatballs. Ordinary people will lose their sand value at a glance. Even though Curtis had been prepared, he was a little disgusted by this scene. As for saying regret or something, there is no such thing at all. He took out his cell phone and called Frederick. The call was quickly connected. I have successfully released the virus. After finishing speaking, Curtis hung up the phone without waiting for Frederick's answer. This is what he had agreed with Frederick at the beginning, and he would be notified as soon as possible after the virus was released. The other side. Frederick was in a car bound for Haverhill International Airport with 3 men with messy hair. Although these 3 men look ordinary, none of them is simple in fact, and they are all world-class top hackers. Frederick can know this group of people because he is also a top hacker himself. This time, he brought them in for the purpose of hacking Henry's account and transferring his money to his own account. This method is definitely not easy to change in normal times. After all, if there is any change in the account, the bank will definitely notify Henry as soon as possible. But now Henry is trapped in John's villa, and he has asked people to put jammers outside the villa. At that time, the phone in the villa cannot be made, and the calls outside cannot be made. Henry had no way of knowing the news immediately. Then they can transfer the money out of Henry's account. Not only Henry, but John also intends to transfer their money from the bank. This is a very large number. Once there is a change, the bank will definitely be aware of it, and may directly lock the bank account. But what does it matter? Their car is now on its way to Haverhill International Airport. Although he has never traded with Shu Hong. But he knows that when trading with Shu Hong, as long as you have money in your account, you can directly conclude a deal with the other party. The other party will not care how much money you have or whether it is frozen. As long as you have money in your account and meet the price of the goods you need, then you can trade with him. As long as they can transfer John and Henry's money to their own accounts. Even if the bank is aware of it, it's okay to freeze his account. Because this is also in line with the conditions for trading with Shu Hong. As long as he spends the money, how will John and his gang get the money back? How will John and the others, who have become paupers, take revenge on him? And he has a clear consumption goal: strength, but also technology and longer life. This is what he intends to trade with Shu Hong. Strength is the first, followed by technology, and last is life. Strength is to ensure his next safety, technology is to ensure that he can accumulate more wealth. Even if the money for the last lifespan is not enough to trade this time, you can come and trade with Shu Hong next time. And Curtis was just someone he sent to stall for time. He and the people next to him are the most critical part of this plan. After Curtis hung up the phone, Frederick also made a call. The action can begin. This call is to inform the person he arranged to install the signal jammer. Only when there is chaos over there, can he ask someone to install a signal jammer. Otherwise, place a signal jammer from the beginning. The people in the villa can't make calls, which will definitely cause a disturbance immediately. In the car, Frederick hung up the phone. Also started to operate on the computer for a while. The three people next to him also began to cooperate with him into the bank's fire protection system. Soon, they breached the bank's fire protection system. A bank's fire protection system is hard to break. The reason why they can do it so easily is because they have already had drills. After all, Frederick had this plan from the very beginning. To make money, there is nothing faster than hacking the bank. But doing so is a crime. In the past, even if they had such an ability, they would not dare to do so. Because once the amount is too large, it will be useless for them to escape to other countries. But it doesn't matter now. As long as the plan is successful, gain strength and technology. Even if the bank knew about it, they could only be angry and helpless. Anger is what they do. The helplessness is that as long as the plan is successful, the people in the bank will have nothing to do with them. And it wasn't their bank that suffered the heavy losses, it was John's money. The bank will not come to him who has gained strength because of this kind of thing. As for John's revenge, they are nothing without money. Frederick knew that those guys had only traded the longevity medicine with Shu Hong so far. After taking the elixir and restoring a young body, those guys who have been tortured by illness and old bodies for decades seem to be alive again. Excited. There are parties there every day, banquets, and fun with women. And did not trade with Shu Hong again. When he spends all their money, what will those guys do to get back at him? It should be said that as long as the plan is successful and he doesn't retaliate against them, it will be regarded as his kindness. After all, he will go on this road, and those guys have experienced many things behind him. If the plan is successful, how can I say thank you to them? The other side. John and they are still on the phone. Suddenly, the voice on the other end of the phone disappeared. There are no fools here, and they understand that someone has placed a signal jammer outside. With this thing, even a satellite phone is useless. But everyone is not panic, because before that, they had already made several phone calls. Help will come soon. As long as they stay in this room now, people are safe. But they are smart, and they don't expect that someone has been eyeing the money in their bank account at this moment. East in less than 5 minutes. The sound of helicopters came from above the villa, and listening to the movement, more than one helicopter came. Then came the sound of machine gun fire and the sound of automatic rifles. It also made John and others in the villa breathe a sigh of relief. Because they know that rescuers are coming. Safe now. The fight lasted almost 10 minutes, because the villa is full of mutant monsters. The monsters infected by the more infectious and powerful G virus are not so easy to kill. After many monsters died once, they would resurrect again, which caused a lot of trouble for those who came to rescue them. However, the people who came to the rescue were well equipped. Therefore, the mutated monsters in the villa were quickly cleaned up. Curtis saw this scene in the dark. He knew that it was time for him to act. He took a special potion from his suitcase. It also contains the G virus. However, compared to the G virus he released before, The G virus in his hand is more concentrated and the effect is stronger. After injecting this thing, he will become a 100%. But it will be a more powerful monster. Because this is a special virus developed by Frederick using his genes, and it is his personal version of the G virus. In Frederick's words, don't use it unless you have to, because after using it, he will become a complete monster, a monster of a monster. However, the situation in the villa has basically stabilized. After confirming that Hunter and the others are safe and sound, he still resolutely picked up the syringe and stabbed at his arm. With the syringe stuck in his hand, Curtis pushed the virus in the syringe into his body without any hesitation. In the next second, a tearing pain came. Curtis began to inflate rapidly like an inflated balloon. The body is torn apart in the middle. Huge amounts of tentacles emerge from it. His 2 arms also began to swell extremely. Soon, it grew into 2 huge hands. There are also white horny substances on the surface of the giant hand, like armor, wrapping his arms. At the front end of the arm, there are white, horn-like spikes. His back also began to swell extremely, with thick white horniness, making him look like a titan wearing silver armor. On his chest, white horny skin also appeared. On the side of the back, 2 huge amounts of tentacles grew out. Long and thick. In just a few breaths of effort, Curtis turned from an ordinary person into a huge monster with a height of 20 meters. And after he became bigger, the rescue team in the villa also noticed his existence. His appearance stunned the rescue team. What is the situation? Why such a big guy suddenly appeared? Although puzzled, the rescue team came by armed helicopter. Every helicopter is fully fired. The ammunition of the machine gun has not been finished, and the loaded missile has not been fired. So after Curtis mutated into a monster, they fired the missiles on the helicopter without hesitation. Shish. Several missiles flew towards Curtis, and they flew in front of Curtis almost instantly. A violent explosion followed. Boom boom boom. The heat and impact of the explosion can be clearly felt even if the rescuers are a little far away. Such an attack is completely unbearable for humans. That monster should be dead. The smoke and dust from the explosion made it difficult for people to see the situation inside, and it was impossible to judge whether the monster was dead or not. When the smoke cleared, Curtis stood there unscathed. Not even hurt. Because of the horny hard object on the surface of his body, it helped him resist the damage from the missile explosion. This scene directly dumbfounded the rescuers. Most of them are private security forces. Before becoming a private security force, they basically served in the top military. What British Royal Marines, US Navy SEALs, Air Force units, some special forces. I haven't seen any scenes. It's not the first time the monster has been seen. In front of them, it was really the first time they saw Cody's monster. In the villa. After confirming that it was safe outside, John and others also walked out of the safe zone. But as soon as they came out, they heard a violent explosion. What's going on? Why did the plane launch a missile directly? John asked the rescuer beside him. Boss, a new big monster has appeared, and the plane just bombed it. John and the others were taken aback. Aren't the monsters cleaned up and safe? Why are there still monsters? But soon, they saw Curtis's huge size. At this moment, he has lost his rationality as a human being, leaving only the instinct of the virus to devour. And the bombing just now aroused his ferocity. He also started his counterattack after the rescuer's attack was ineffective. Although his size is huge, his moving speed is not slow. The 2 thick and long tentacles behind him are not only flexible, but also stretchable. Before the 2 helicopters had time to raise and retreat, they were hit by tentacles that suddenly struck. Was directly pulled to the ground. The explosion crashed. The violent explosion sound spread throughout the rich district. Gives people a feeling that this is a battlefield. The other side. Frederick and others have also arrived outside Haverhill International Airport. Even if it's dark now, but the Shu Hong deal is still going on. If you want to trade, go into the confines of Haverhill International Airport and meditate on what you want to trade. As long as you have enough money, your deal can be done. Because the gods know what is going on in your heart. As the progress bar reached 100%, Frederick had an excited smile on his face. He couldn't help being excited, because it was impossible for anyone who suddenly owned hundreds of billions of dollars in assets to remain calm. Although he split some of the hundreds of billions of dollars, he definitely took the majority of the money. A total of more than $264 billion. This money is the sum of all the assets of John and his gang. And he can monopolize $200 billion. After all, he is the leader of this plan, and his role in this plan is also the greatest. He is generous enough to distribute more than 64 billion US dollars. Definitely, this may also be the reason why the money came so easily. In his eyes, it was just a string of numbers, so he didn't feel bad about giving it away. If the money was in cash and piled up in front of him, he probably wouldn't be so generous. Digital money will weaken people's care about money. Not long after the money arrived in the account, Frederick discovered that his bank account had been unilaterally frozen by the bank. But he didn't care at all, because his purpose has been achieved. And he had already locked his bank account before that. Even the bank couldn't transfer the money in his account in a short time. And this also gave him enough time to trade with Xu Hong. Inside the airport. The VIP room originally belonged to Claire, but now it belongs to Xu Hong. Definitely, this place is huge, so Claire still lives here. It's just that Claire was given a 2-day vacation by Xu Hong, so she's not here now, but went to play with her big brother Chris. As for Chris' mission, when he returned from Xu Hong, his mission was completed after he made the phone call. So now it's Xu Hong's place. And Xu Hong was lying on the big and comfortable sofa brought by the airport, watching the news, and at the same time making deals with people who entered the airport area outside and wanted to trade with him. With his super brain and telepathy ability, he can communicate with hundreds of millions of people at the same time. Now I just watch the news while making deals with tens of thousands, or even tens of thousands of people outside, and only a few thousand people, which is nothing at all. Xu Hong naturally knew of Frederick and the others' arrival immediately. At the same time, the telepathy ability also reads all their memories in an instant. Let Xu Hong understand their purpose. Frederick, the villain in Resident Evil Deterioration, is a villain who is smart but has no B character. In the end of the movie, he was caught by Leon and sent to prison. The ending is not bad, at least he didn't die, but was sent to prison. Because of his appearance, the plot of Biohazard and Deterioration changed drastically. The original plot collapsed directly. Even Xu Hong was a little surprised by the sweeping operation done by Frederick. This guy actually got John's money into his own account, and then ran to trade with him immediately. As long as the money is spent, not only will John and the others not get the money back, they will become paupers, and the situation where John and the others retaliated against him at will be directly reversed. I have to say, this guy is pretty flamboyant. As for the fairness for John and the others, return the money Frederick got to them. Xu Hong didn't have the idea of doing this. Who do business with or not? He didn't have the idea of picking a traitor. Come to him, no matter who you are, or even if you are not a human being, as long as you have money, you can trade with him. As for how the money came from, Xu Hong didn't care. Xu Hong and John are not friends, they are just ordinary business relationships. He didn't have time to help them host the fairness. This world is inherently unfair, just as ordinary people worry about money, rice, oil and salt, but they have money that ordinary people may not necessarily spend in 100 lifetimes. Is this fair? Out of 10 rich people, how many rich people have completely clean money? For people like John and others, Xu Hong will not have any sympathy. That guy Frederick is very smart. His first choice of trade is to get someone who can't kill him easily, and let him have a certain ability to fight back. Second, the technology to optimize the G-virus, and finally, the lifespan-enhancing drug. There are 3 requirements in total, but Xu Hong only satisfied him 2. He wants others to not be able to kill him easily, and also has a certain ability to fight back. Xu Hong directly gave him a Wolverine serum. This thing is in the system, and the price is 750 million US dollars. He charged him 100 billion US dollars, isn't it too much? He wants the optimization technology of the G-virus, which is a bit more expensive in the system. It costs 1.2 billion US dollars, and he charges him 100 billion US dollars, isn't it too much? 200 billion US dollars was spent in one go. Xu Hong naturally couldn't satisfy the third condition. As for being black-hearted, Xu Hong didn't think he was black-hearted, because without him, even if Frederick had money, he wouldn't be able to buy these good things. Using space magic, he directly sent what Frederick asked for. Definitely, it also comes with an instruction manual and the price of the item. At the same time, the system also directly deducted 200 billion US dollars from Frederick's account and added it to Xu Hong's system account. The other side. I can only satisfy 2 of your deals, because your funds are only enough for me to satisfy your 2 conditions. Xu Hong's voice sounded in Frederick's brain. This is the first time he has personally come into contact with the god Xu Hong. How should I put it? It was shocking. He could say with certainty that Shu Hong's voice sounded in his head. Is this something normal people can do? This has been completely divorced from science and has become metaphysics. And, as most people say, Shu Hong can know what these people are thinking. So Shu Hong must know what he did before, although mentally prepared. But he was relieved that Shu Hong didn't meddle in his own business. What follows is happiness, because he closed the deal. A golden light suddenly appeared in the void in front of him, followed by a circle of light, and a hand stretched out from it. Two things were dropped: a red potion and a stack of materials. At the top of the information, there is an instruction manual. The instructions are clearly for the red potion. It marked the method of using the potion and the changes the potion would bring to him. When the Wolverine serum is injected, he will gain a near-undead super self-healing recovery ability. You will have wolf-like wild intuition and fighting instincts. Besides, your strength, speed, and spirit will also be much higher than ordinary people. And he will gain a lifespan of hundreds of years, and he will always be young. As far as this effect is concerned, $100 billion, he thinks it is worth the money. And the optimization technology of the G virus, in his opinion, is also worth $100 billion. Because the optimized G virus can be used to develop many drugs, once these drugs come out. Enough to make him earn a lot of money. In general, $200 billion is worth the money. Then the three guys who came with him traded with the remaining more than $60 billion. This is what was said before. More than $60 billion is not a small amount. After the three of them divided equally, they all traded something they were satisfied with. The other side. Curtis, who has turned into a monster, has gone completely mad. At the moment, he has destroyed more than half of the villas in the rich district. And because it ate a lot of people, this guy's current size has reached more than 40 meters high. Has grown into a real behemoth. Looking from a distance, people can feel the fear of biological instinct. People are afraid of things that are bigger than themselves. The most troublesome thing is that this guy can't solve it at all. But John and the others managed to escape from here. After all, the rescuers who came this time drove a total of more than 10 helicopters. Because the rescuers who came were not a person's private security arm. Among the 8 people, 6 had their own private security forces, and this time 5 personal security forces came. Many people. So there are many helicopters coming. Even a few were destroyed by Curtis. They still have spare planes. It wasn't hard to take John and them away. John and the others were embarrassed when they left, and they were in a bad mood when they left. After all, after going through such a bad thing, it's strange to feel better. But they don't know that there is an even bigger bad thing waiting for them. After leaving the rich area by plane, they quickly received calls from major banks. A big thunderbolt hit all of them directly on the head. That was their bank account, and the money was transferred. And it turned away with nothing left. This news directly broke the defense of John and others. One by one, they cursed at the other end of the phone, scolding them why they didn't keep their money. The answer from the other party was that after the other party transferred the money to an account, their bank immediately froze that account. But after freezing, the money finally disappeared. Not only the amount in the bank card, but also the cash in the bank disappeared by more than 200 billion. Definitely, it's not all cash, but some gold and some valuable gems. And can do this kind of thing that makes things disappear out of thin air. Currently in the world, only one person can do it. That is the god Shu Hong. Obviously, someone used their money to trade with that god and spent all their money. All of them have become paupers.